Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for being here and welcome to the Inspired Poetry Corner Recital. This is recital number 3. And the reason why it's a recital because it's not an open mic show. The reason why I didn't want to do an open mic show because I've done an open mic show for years back in Kelowna, British Columbia, where I live. And since coming to Toronto and being, obviously we're still in the state of COVID, I've discovered so many open mic shows online, which are really cool. So I didn't think I needed to add another one, but I found myself still wanting to get, I guess, into organizing and just bringing people together and listening to great poetry. So this is where the Inspired Poetry Corner came about. And unfortunately, the founder of the Inspired Poetry Project, Richard Lamoureux, unfortunately couldn't be here. He was to be here tonight, but he got hit with an influx of company that showed up unexpectedly to visit. So he buzzed me last night. He goes, "Well, I can't make it. I got a house full of people and it's gonna." So I said, "Don't worry about it, Richard." So I just told him his presence will be mixed. So that's why I'm mentioning his name because he was the one that started this group and invited me to come along. And then I said, "Hey, why don't we do a reset?" He goes, "Well, you run it." So here we are. So anyway, I thank you all for being here. It is Sunday morning for me, just at 8:22. I'm in the Eastern time zone. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. We've got a litany of amazing humans on this show today from all parts of the world, and people are still coming in. So I am going to just say thank you, welcome, thank you for sharing and spending time with us. We have an amazing feature today, and we also have, I believe we'll have, I think, anywhere from 10 to 15 people that will be reciting. So the format is very simple. Our feature will have 20 minutes to spew her brilliance at us and share her beautiful words. And then I'll ask some questions, and then hopefully you guys might want to ask her some questions as well. And then I will open it up and call your names out to share your poetry. Each poet will have anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes. I'm not sitting here with the clock kind of like, you're at 7:01, you're cut off. It's not going to be like that. But if you start getting into like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, then I might, because then it's a double feature and I didn't sign up for a double. I'm just kidding. I'm not a comedian. I just think I'm funny. Deal with it. So, but let's have fun. So feature, poets, and then just like we were talking before, if at the end, if we want, I was hoping to build in a forum where we can have conversations, because I've noticed that from previous shows that people tend to want to talk, and it's not like we have to stick around for hours afterwards, but just if we want to talk, we can do that. So it's a very simple format, simple show, as many of you have done Zoom shows before. Before we bring our beautiful feature on, can we just do a quick check-in? I've seen a number of people have joined since we started. So if you can just quickly say your name, where you're from, and give us a couple of little blurbs about yourself. And I think it's important that we all understand who's with us, right? So I'll officially start. My full name is Raul Ian James. I am in my 61st rotation around this sun, and I am in an amazing city called Toronto, which is in Ontario, Canada. And I've been living here for a long time, originally from Trinidad and Tobago, grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and other parts of the US. So who would like to go next? Just as a matter of introductions.
I'll go. My name's Daniel. I'm from Australia. I don't work anymore. I look after my mum. Sadly lost my dad and my brother. And yeah, I'm just here to express myself, and I really found poetry saved my life.
Thank you, Daniel.
And I'm 30 too, as well.
Okay. Anyone else? Next.
Hi, I'm Coach O'Neill McCullough, and I live on the north shore of the Cromarty Firth in the Highlands of Scotland. So my background is I'm an archaeologist and ethnologist and ists of all sorts, but mainly I'm a person who's interested in people and our more than human relationships, alive and in pasts, and my poetry has been a way of finding a voice for expressing that sense of the other and that lived experience that you were talking about, well, that we share in this world. And so to find a way to speak the world, it's wonderful to be here.
Oh, nice to have you. Thank you. Next.
I'll go next.
Okay.
I'm south of Clyde. I'm on the southern west coast of Scotland. I'm a novelist and a poet. I've lived in many countries. I've lived in Ethiopia, and I've used poetry and writing to process living in a war zone and what happened there. I've actually a biochemist and worked at the University of Stirling for years. I've also been a counsellor for over 30 years, and I've found writing for others very therapeutic as well. I set up a collective of women writers at the 2016 Edinburgh Fringe because I was concerned about women not being able to express themselves or get published or be censored. So I brought a collective together, and they're called Women with Fierce Words. And we've won awards, and we go into communities, and we encourage your own voice. So that's me.
Thank you so much. Okay, who would like to go next? I don't want to be like a teacher and do roll call, so.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi, we missed you last night. We talked about you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so we understand that you needed to take up some more responsibility with your friend having a house full of guests. So we'll definitely pass that on to Marissa. Like, well, I got to get up at 6 a.m. in Colorado and get the dog outside. So I'm a new poet, and actually here in Colorado, trying to find some light before that sun comes up. I get the idea of being all the time on Cultivating Voices, and my friends on the other side of the pond are up way earlier or later than I. So it's good to have this experience. So poetry saves lives, and poetry creates the arc that weaves the fabric that holds us all together. So not as a religious person, but as a spiritual person, we are all God's children, and it's wonderful to be here as a listener, if I can stop talking for just a moment and let everybody else get started. So right. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Okay, who'd like to go next?
Hi.
Hey, hi, Angie.
Hi, good morning. Okay, so I'm Angie from Trinidad. I'm a fairly new poet. I love writing. I try to encourage people to write on my group, Creations and Beyond. And I really appreciate Rolly for inviting us to this, and I'm excited to hear what everyone has to say today. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Ange. And I guess when you live in Trinidad, you can say just Trinidad, not Trinidad and Tobago. So.
Oh yes, sorry, Trinidad and Tobago.
No.
I tend to specify Trinidad.
No, we just said that we're Anika and I were talking earlier. We were both from Trinidad, but we live in this. She lives in the States. I'm here, and I always just say Trinidad. And a friend of mine is from Tobago, and he goes, "Don't forget, it's T&T."
Right.
Not just anyway, thank you.
All right.
All right. Who'd like to go next? Oh, Valerie, unmute yourself and introduce yourself. I'm looking forward to meeting this woman. We can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself, Al. Let me see. Can I unmute you? I should be able to unmute you.
I think I'm good now.
There you go. There you go.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see your face. Thank you.
It's good to see your face too.
Yeah.
Finally.
Finally, yes, yes. So
Moving
tell us
all
a little
around.
bit about Valerie. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Valerie Thibodeau. I'm from New Orleans and I'm living here now again.
Again.
And I love poetry. I love what I read. And I especially love to share with other poets ideas and principles that we can examine in a lyrical way.
Okay. Beautiful. Well, I look forward to hearing your words and the insight after the recital. If we choose to stick around, that'd be a great topic to talk about. So a couple of people have mentioned already how poetry saves lives. So yeah, I think we can have some robust conversations as we move on. Really good to meet you and actually finally see you. So
Same here.
all right. Who else would like to share before we bring on our feature? I see who else is on that has not spoken. I'm just going through the list.
I guess I'll jump in. Hi,
There you
I'm
go,
Dor.
yes.
I'm Dor. I'm joining from Limerick, Ireland today. I moved here 3 years ago now, at the very end of 2019. And I run an online series called Lime Square Poets, and I write poetry. And I'm really looking forward to sharing and hearing and being together in community today. Thank you.
Thanks, Dor. Thank you. Nice seeing you again. All right, Yanni.
Yes, hello. Good morning, and it's evening here. I'm Yani. I'm from Indonesia, and I reside in Surabaya. I start my poetry since still teenager, and I am very in love with poetry until now. So I just joined poetry group since last year, and I am enjoying it until now. And thanks to Angie for having me as her admin in her group. So we're very good at collaborating our work there. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Yanni. Yanni's a prolific poet. She writes a lot and paying attention, gets all these different appreciation and poets of the, she's a brilliant poet. So, but then again, you're in a class of brilliancy as it is. So thank you for bringing yours and thank you for sharing. Danielle, I see Danielle's on. If you want to unmute and just introduce yourself, we're just doing a little check-in before we get going.
Guys, good morning. Sorry I'm late. I woke up with a banger of a headache this morning. I'm Danelle Boyles, and I've been writing since I was, I don't know, probably about 14. Took a hiatus for a while and got back into it, I don't know, maybe a year and a half or so ago. And I also do art. I'm on Facebook and Instagram under Emotions and Art. And I'm just really happy to be here this morning to be able to join you guys. And I have a lot of critters. So if you see a cat climb on me during the show, we have 6 cats and this little baby is very needy. So
Well,
thanks for having me, Raleigh.
thanks for being here. Thank you. And your critters are welcome to recite as well. So,
Thanks.
Ariana, I'll do a quick
Hi.
hello introduction.
Hi, I'm Ariana from also from Trinidad and Tobago. I I recently started writing mostly every day now, and there's my third time reciting, and I'm really excited and I'm really glad to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us, definitely. So you were listening, Trinidad and Tobago, so.
Ah,
All right. I don't think if I've missed, is anyone, have I not gotten to or have not had an opportunity to introduce themselves before we start? Okay, I believe we've covered everyone. If I've forgotten anyone, please just let me know and I will stop and then you can introduce yourself. All right, so before I bring on Future, I'd just like to just remind you of a few etiquettes. Obviously, the option is for you to keep the camera on. I invite people to keep their camera on to their comfort level. It's at least for myself, when I start the show, I change my view into gallery so I can see everyone's face. And I know usually when I recite, I try to keep everyone in the gallery because it feels like you are presenting before an audience. So that's just a little trick someone taught me a little while ago. So if you want, at the very top right, you'll see an icon that says view. If you click on it, it gives you the option to do gallery or whatever. So so that's one. When you're not reciting or speaking, please mute your mic so the noise factor is diminished, because obviously when you're reciting online, everything is amplified. So we just try to keep that down. Other than that, is to sit back and enjoy. Let's have fun, because you know why? We got up this morning on the right side of the dirt and we get to recite poetry. And we get to listen to poetry. And to me, any day, any moment you get to hang out with poets and listen to poetry is a good day. So let's just have fun with this. Let's just share, speak your truth. This is a place where people can speak freely. I trust that when people show up, they know how to be respectful. And I'm going to trust that because I trust we all have mothers who taught us well. And I don't like disappointing my mom, because then you guys will probably call her and tell her your son was rude. And then she's going to grab me by the ear, even if I'm 61, and go, what were you thinking? I'm not kidding. No, I'm just kidding. My mom is pretty cool. So, but ultimately, let's just have fun with this. Let's enjoy. Let's take it in. Myself, poetry came into my life 12 years ago. I was teaching at a private college back in Kelowna, British Columbia, where I was living, and this blast of inspiration came. I'm teaching a curriculum that I wrote, and this blah just came out, and it was poetry. I gave my students an assignment that led to me creating an open mic show that's just finishing up its 12th season that I left to the young poets. So poetry is an amazing tool. It can heal. It can help you to look at your life in different ways. It can help you to understand your past. It can help you to navigate present day. And that's why I think poets are so important, in particular in these types of times of discomfort, the ability for us to be able to look at life and put it into a semblance of words that can inspire people to look at themselves differently, therefore to look at the world differently. And I think that's why we're so needed today. This is why I invite poets to speak their truth, to talk about mental health, talk about sexual abuse, talk about race, talk about women's issues, gender, whatever it is, talk. Because I believe poetry is one of the bastions of freedom of speech that we need to honor and maintain. So in saying that, I was at an open mic, I believe was it Oops Beehive? Or was it the brilliant poets from Ireland? And I saw this.
Beehive, yeah.
It was Beehive. I was confused, but I saw this young woman do her feature, and I'm just sitting there blown away. And I'm just gonna, read her bio because I think it's quite good. So sit back, but don't relax. She's a multi-slam winner. She is a runner-up for the 2020 UK Slam, which I think is a pretty big deal because I'm assuming there were a number of really cool poets. The ones that I've already experienced in the UK have been brilliant. She's a performance poet who will drag you through the minefield of the unorthodox. speaking of the unknown. So when she talks about the unorthodox, that excites me. So I'm really looking forward to this. Her work emphasizes mental health awareness. It covers taboo subjects such as sexual violence, mental illness, and suicide. She'll take you on a journey through her own experience, providing an outlet, encouraging conversation, or at least her poetry invites us to have encouraging conversation. I think I agree with this part, always a gripping performance. From when I've seen her perform, she grabs you by the shoulders in a loving way and then refuses to let you go. Actually, you don't want to let go because you're just gonna sit there wanting more. Hopefully she'll leave you wanting to ask questions, wanting to ask why, or even just to ask about life. She's not for the faint of heart, but then again, poets are not for the faint of heart. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to unmute your mics, put your hands together, snap it up for our featured poet. See, I'm having a problem with your name already.
That's
Jemima
okay.
Hughes.
There you go.
Jemima Hughes. So snap it up for her, guys. The floor is yours, my dear.
It is an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you. I'm really glad you told me about that view, like to change the view to seeing everyone. I didn't know that was a thing, and this is so much better. Because when I did do Beehive, where we met the other day, I was staring at myself whilst I was performing, and that's not a normal thing when you're used to being on a stage looking at an audience. To then be watching myself, it was really strange. So really nice. Thank you for having me. As Raoul already has kind of mentioned, I talk a lot about mental health / illness and sexual violence, which, judging by all the powerful stories you guys have already been sharing with us this morning, you're going to be all right with all that. But I do like to just throw that out there. If there's anything you don't need to hear today, there's a mute button. You can mute me and you can come back after the poem. That's absolutely fine. You don't have to listen to anything you don't need to hear today. That's really important. All of the poems I'm going to do today are from my book, which came out during lockdown, which is called Unorthodox, if that wasn't kind of clear from the bio that Raoul read out. It was published during lockdown, which wasn't the plan. Nobody expected the lockdown, but it was a very unorthodox book launch because it ended up being online. But it's been an absolute whirlwind ever since that book came out. So I'd like to share some of my story with you guys today, seeing as you guys have been so open and honest and sharing already with me. So I'm going to dive straight in. I'll talk some more in between. I'll try and remember to plug myself a little bit so we can connect afterwards. I always forget to do the plugs, but to start with, I'm going to give you the weather forecast. The National Weather Service has issued a severe weather warning. Storm Jemima has hit the south. A tornado intensity warning F3 is set to tear through your life. Turn everything on its head. Emotions will be rife. This weather warning is most certainly a code red. We cannot yet say whether the damage will be widespread, but there is sure to be a blustery path ahead. Her sudden appearance may cause confusion, no need to adjust. She won't be a long-lasting intrusion. However, after the initial luminosity, you may become disillusioned. Prepare to feel a surge of adrenaline, awaken your every sense with her first presence. Try not to be tense. Remember, she doesn't mean to cause offense. She is as natural as mountains or the moon's mere existence, but with natural follows disaster. Don't fall victim to her false pretense. With the commotion, you may want to tighten your grasp on common sense before your thoughts condense to only you and her. You don't have time to build a wall for defense. Her deep rumbling is echoing. She's hungry for you. It's about to commence. The lights may be out for some time. The only electricity will be the power drawing her closer to you. Until then, enjoy the view. A change in atmosphere right on cue. Pressure is low. She expects nothing from you. You're going to bind in a whirlwind of heart-pounding excitement and fear of devastation. Please beware of her irresistible fixation on you. She will cling to you. She will consume you. She will rip off your roof, leaving you exposed to who knows who, because she believes it could be good for you, opening up to places you never knew existed. Her judgment may be twisted, but her mystery can't be resisted. Her patterns can't be predicted. Her actions can't be restricted. She's going to sweep you off your feet. Let you swirl amongst her cloud of frozen memories. You being at the center of her should not be confused with you having a life of your own to which you should retreat. She will drop you back down to the ground alongside your hail-stricken heartbeat. How is it you feel complete when your heart is debris, drowning on concrete? Leaves fly from branches of trees like birds. If she teaches you one thing, let it be to be free, to have no restrictions on the speed at which you chase your needs, that even after lightning strikes, you can still succeed, that caught up in the strongest gusts, you can still breathe. Her aggression was not meant for you. No one wants to be a disaster, no matter how natural. It accumulated inside of her and she blew spine-chilling surface winds into your eyes, blindingly beautiful skies, disturbed by cries to go back in time. Power flashes from lines light the way for broken futures to collide. She invites you along for the ride to make this more complex. What nonsense, a multiple vortex is more destructive than a single cyclone. Don't let her drag you too far into the unknown or rotate your thoughts until dust becomes your home. If you're brave enough to cut off the air supply, the vortex will weaken. Roping out tornado choked with doubt of her existence, becoming a thing cut out of her former self. Trees creak as they straighten their backs to watch her dissipate. You won't see the same her again. Don't forget, after the storm will come a rainbow to frame the lasting impression that became all that remains from the life-threatening game she played. How colourful it is up to you. Thank you.
Hey.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Thank you. That's so kind. So that poem, that first poem was called Tornado, if that wasn't obvious. And I wrote that at a time when I felt like I was a tornado tearing through people's lives. I was going through a very, very severe mental breakdown. It was about 4 years ago that it started, about the same time I started writing poetry, shocker. And it was definitely a coping mechanism for me. The book kind of wrote itself because it was just me writing to survive. And then suddenly I had all these poems that could go into a book. And that was one of them. Definitely felt like I was kicking up a storm and tearing through lives, and especially as you become more aware, then as I started to heal and became more aware of what I'd been through, I started to become more aware of what others had been through because they were in my life. So that's what that one was about. I'm gonna move on now to another story I was gonna say, because they are stories. Again, it's all from the book today. I will pop a link in the chat at the end, and just if anybody is interested in buying the book, then you'll be able to, I'm pretty sure they do international delivery, but it will be, I'll put that in there and you'll be able to have a look. If not, just get in touch with me and we'll sort it out. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my life, and maybe you can relate. See, it was the most surreal thing. Finally wanting to live again, but realizing I no longer knew how to. This world is so different to the last one I knew. It's like someone photoshopped me in but forgot to airbrush me smooth. I woke to 2 new family members I didn't know were due, allowance to swear in front of my parents because the sound of my voice was a breakthrough. I used to be a chameleon. Now I'm the elephant in the room. My body is a prison with a chief that won't listen, inmate for life, no chance of parole or escape plans to come into fruition. People look at me like they can catch it. Maybe they can, but I'd argue more likely that they don't understand. If only they understood that they don't understand, that would lend more of a helping hand than wrapping me in bubble wrap and sending me in padded package into a secure room where I can be manned. I'm not mental. They're judgmental. I'm not mentally ill, I'm mentally intriguing. And there's something very beautiful about being mentally intriguing. And I'm not talking about how sometimes I forget how to breathe in without counting. I mean the ability to tap into another dimension that some people will only ever dream in. Plus, When I'm mentally intriguing, I know how to behave. Trying to act normal feels like someone turned at gravity and it's sucking me through the floor into an early grave. Maybe I see the world through fanatical eyes, or maybe some only open theirs up to desirable skies. My head is in the clouds, not because I'm high, but because they hang low and because climates don't compromise. When I'm left cold and without light, though the sun remembered to rise, I'm reminded if I don't meet expectations, I am not obliged to apologize. Like that time I felt nothing plummeting from a 14,000-foot skydive, because happiness isn't real and neither is fear. They're in your mind. The mind being the most powerful tool you own, which is why the enemy fights you there, because that's where it gets you alone. How can I feel everything and nothing within one breath? How can I feel empty, yet simultaneously as heavy as my dad's eyelids after a bottle of red? Forget monsters underneath mine, spoon me in my bed, body's exhausted, ready to sleep, but the memo didn't make it to my head. Maybe the problem is it's midday and I'm forcing myself to sleep, and not because I'm tired, but so something may have changed when I awake to pull me out of this whimpering heat that seemingly there is no reason for me to be in. My body feels stronger than it should ever have had to be, yet still I'll speak to you with the honesty of a child, if with the delicacy of one is how you treat me. If I was screaming because I trapped my finger in a door, it would be easy to feel sympathy, but trapped inside my own head, the instinct is to criticize and flee. But please, try to imagine feeling so anxious that the sound of someone parting their lips makes you feel you could rip your eardrums out with ease, or the texture of loved one's words make you bite because they torment your teeth, or your clothes touching you the wrong way will leave you twitching for weeks. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at my irrational response and allowing my life to become this bleak. Someone else's inspiration to live when I'm still on a 4-to-3 ratio myself each week. Suicide is selfish, is not an opinion, it's wrong. What's selfish is expecting someone to live for you when their pain is excruciating. They feel they can't belong. When I don't hesitate on a bridge, I've won a race. When oxygen I need to survive suffocates me, I feel like I belong in outer space. I am rough around the edges and straight through the middle. My language is encrypted and my actions contort as riddles. It's like I developed a 6th, 7th, 8th sense for things that don't need to be sensed. My large intestine is a spitting cobra releasing venom that leaves me temporarily blind to the present tense. My skin is worn out, like me. Baths became an overused comfort, like tea. I never drink decaf, and I do that for me because despite what doctors have me believe, no one was ever diagnosed with something off the back of lack of decaf coffee. Don't let me fool you into a false sense of security. I think too much to be logical. But writing makes you feel happy. No, writing makes me feel, full stop. So I load my pen with pain and I spiel, because this is what happens when mental intrigue reaches fever pitch. We create something that makes the pain appeal, and there's something to be said for a rhyme to help people believe that something is real. The day I began to lose my mind, I began to find myself. That is when I realized it is okay to ask for help. Even if it means waking someone up, self-sabotage is enticing, but it is a relief when someone interrupts. See, 2 steps forward and 1 step back is not a royal fuck up. It is still 1 step forward. So I take the bad with the good and I embrace my disordered and awkward now. I look forward to tasting that first tea of many in the morning, because it means I've made it through another night. Progress is progress, regardless of how slight. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
You just have to hear the wow, wow.
Oh, thank you. So kind. I love this view where I can see you all. This is so nice. Yeah, thank you so much. I guess I'll give a little bit of context without going too deep. I was in an abusive situation when I was 16 years old. And so I write a lot about sexual violence awareness as well as mental health, because the mental health and illness stuff for me came off the back of that situation. I suppressed a lot over 10 years and it just blew up, because if you push it down, eventually it's going to blow. And that's what happened. And it blew up really badly. But I guess I just want to keep talking about this stuff and keep raising awareness, because honestly, I don't know how I'm alive today. And if I can be here after that, I know that we can get through anything together. So by sharing these stories, that's a massive step. So that's why I'm sharing this with you guys today. And thank you for listening to me. I always say, you guys have already touched on the fact that poetry saves lives, and it really does. And I always like to say that listening and feeling heard saves lives as well. So thank you so much for listening to me today. I just want to say a quick shout out to my best friend who actually lives in Florida, and I never get to see him because he's actually on here today. He's not on the video or the audio. His name's Donny, and I absolutely love him to pieces, and we never get to see each other. I think the last time I saw him was pre-lockdown for like a day because I was over in America. And yeah, so hi Donny, and thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to me today, guys. I'm going to do one more poem because you've probably noticed my poems are quite long, so I can only fit another one in. Thank you for listening. Keep listening to each other. And if you can, try to be someone's friend in the green t-shirt. This is a love poem. Not in the way you may think, the way many already do, or the way I once did, but it is a love poem. This is love at its most sublime. This is love if it fell in love. This is love being able to tell the time. He caught me off guard, like those toilets with a sensor flush. You sit back too far and it turns into a bidet mid-push. He looked at me like there are pages in between, not just a cover. He intimidated me in a motivational way, made me want to write more so there is more to discover. He made me feel inadequate. It was unintentional, but he did, because there is nothing common about his sense. His mind is unconventional. His words, gold dust. Words I treasure knowing they exude quality. They cover my days, but don't weigh me down. A layer of protection when I can't tame my curiosity. It's dangerous. Being close to someone when you are prone to obsessive behaviors, when you meet someone and immediately believe that they are your savior. And I know at a time my passion outweighed his, which hurt, but the reality is it's done me countless favors. He looked at me like an abstract painting, reading into me, not troubled that figuring me out involved watching and waiting. He fitted a window and a door in the wall I'd made, handed me the key without expectation. This was no trade. Light seeped through the window where we spoke of personal crusades until I was ready to concede and remove the barricade. When others stepped back, as though they could catch my condition, he stepped up, looking at me as though catching me had been his lifelong ambition, and he did. He caught me with strength that far outweighed his stature. He taught me, we ride waves on surfboards, not rubber dinghies. That is much harder to master. You create unnecessary work if you don't equip yourself with the tools to make sure you're looked after. And when our friendship narrowed to a one-way street, he didn't break. He traveled down it faster. He said, I look at your life as a piece of work in progress origami. It looks like shit right now, but one day, beautiful is what it's going to be. A joke. But I agreed. He tells me to lean on him, asks me what I need after speaking, thanks me for sharing as though what I've said is an out of self-indulgent greed. And when I speak to him, my words project back at me in his eyes. He's trying to see what I see so that he can empathize. He spoke to me like me when I was impossible to recognize, advised me not to hide in the darkness, reasoning fear can't find me under its disguise. He speaks to me about me for me, not to tell the other guys, never says relax or calm down. He knows it's not rational to feel those things all of the time. And when it first happened with him and my emotion shifted into overdrive, he held me while I cried and said, I wore a green t-shirt so you can snot on it all you like. Anytime since when an episode does arise, he takes a moment to change his shirt so any brain matter doesn't have to be compromised. And when I panic, he asks, shall we do some breathing? Because it's not as simple as something I've been doing my whole life. He gives me butterflies, not ones that are about to take flight, ones that aren't afraid to fight to survive. You owe me one, he'll jest when he lends me art supplies, but don't mention it. In return for a night of restraining me from knives, you go, I go. should never be a settlement to keep someone alive, but the thought of him going is not one I can bear in mind. The way he spoke of his friends when we first met was like each put a star in the night sky or were the reason for every sunset. I remember wanting him to speak of me the same way, vowing to become someone he would never forget at my lowest. I put him up so high it was hard to look at him without an ache in my neck. He was my morphine. I was mindful not to overprescribe to avoid an addiction that would only add to the battle to survive. At his weakest, he said, "I'm all in." He was bluffing. This was not a hand he had strength in, but I couldn't tell he had nothing, so he won the hand, then took mine, held it next to his, and proved they are stronger together, assuring me a tear will never fall alone again because his and mine are tethered. He slept with lights on for me, sacrificed his sleep so I could, and when I looked at him in horror because my mind told me he was a monster, he didn't flinch. He pretended he understood. Despite the tension, sleep deprivation, and nocturnal activity, he maintained that I must be a genius with a sleep pattern to mirror the likes of Emily Bronte or Da Vinci. And when I lose who I am with silence, he soothes me, then plays the songs in my heart to recall my identity. He confirmed I can survive on my own, although blissfully unaware, because just when I thought his presence was set in stone, he had to go. And I surfed a wave bigger than in the past I would have dared. It was then I knew my life wouldn't be the same without me. The others are an honor, but I am the one I need. He taught me these lessons without ever having to preach. There must be something more is the general consensus, but I fall for a human, not someone's gender. If that's the rules, my love life with friends would rival something from EastEnders. You can feel this way without concealing a hidden agenda, and I am in love with him. In this unconditional friendship and acceptance of growth, lack of bitterness amid success, lack of judgment throughout woe. I like honesty and attention, but mainly honesty. I can do it without him, but with him to a whole new degree. For the foreseeable future, I'll line my wardrobe with t-shirts that are green. If anyone needs a friend like him, I'll try to be their true sense of security. And finally, he said to me, "You should hear what I say about you." And I knew I'd become that friend he talks about like they are the most breathtaking view. He is the last time I'll introduce myself with, "Hi, I'm Jemima. I was abused." He's not my knight in shining armor, rather my antidepressant in liquid form so it's easier to consume. One day, he's going to meet someone who no stars or sunsets can outdo, and when he does, I'm going to fall in love with them too. For showing him he is his everything, and that his flaws are the piece of his art which hold the most value. These days, we hold each other's hearts in our hands when they are heavy, then we hold each other's hands for support. He's been my composure during my storm, and if my storm doesn't cease, I hope to be flashes of light on his days where the clouds show no remorse. When my roots were digging down, finding their way, he was the whisper through the neighboring trees, reassuring me I would be my own source of energy one day. Now I take a gold-dusted leaf out of his book and keep it on display, a reminder. Words have the power to give a cliffhanger, less falling space. If a trick of the mind can aid navigation rather than cause delay, I want to be a magician. And if you are someone's friend in the green t-shirt, wow, you are giving unconditional its definition. Thank you so much for having me, guys. Thank you.
Please unmute, guys. Please unmute and
That was very good. Very, very good.
Amazing,
Wow.
amazing.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
What
You're
a
amazing, Jemima. Amazing.
clouds show no remorse. I mean, you've got so many lines, but oh my God. If it's okay with the gathering, could we ask for an encore?
Wow. I didn't expect that.
I know you didn't, but so, some door just types in shivers. Like, I don't know where you go with this. Except
wow.
I would like an encore.
Wow.
And if they don't, I want one.
I want one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just did.
Oh, that's
So.
okay. I can absolutely do that. That's no problem.
Can I make a request?
Yeah, please do.
What's that one that you did? If I say his name, or
His name is. Yeah. Do you want me
say
to
his?
do that?
Yeah, I love his name is. Yes, I
Okay.
love that.
Yeah, no problem. Let me just give me 2 seconds. So
Thanks for indulging, guys. I just it's great listening to you, but I was watching everyone's reaction, and you just had, like I said, you had everyone just, you grab them by the shoulder and you don't let them go. And now we don't want to let go. So.
Well, I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Right, I think I'm pretty much ready. Let me just.
All right. Thanks for this, guys. Thanks for the indulgence.
Okay.
Being that she's doing an encore now, I won't subject you to my poetry. How's that?
Oh no, we want yours. We want yours as well.
Kidding. I'm kidding.
All right. Well,
All right.
I'm happy. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess this is quite nice because I'd planned quite a mental health oriented set with not too much of the sexual violence stuff. So this will cover more of the sexual violence awareness. We had a case in the news at the time that I wrote this about Sarah Everard, and it was definitely hard hitting for me as a woman, as a victim, as a human. I think it should have been hard hitting for everybody. And me and my partner actually co-wrote this. He came to me with the thought, because every therapy session, every first therapy session I've had with every different therapist I've had, which has been a lot over the last few years, they've always said to me, if you tell me his name, I have to report him. His name is imagined scenarios. It's planning her escape route. It's staying light on her feet. His name is walking fast. It's blocking a path. It's lingering in back streets. His name is hair tucked in. It's crossing the road. It's taking a fake call. His name is pulling over, asking her for directions instead of the man ahead who's built and 6'2" tall. His name is following her around the store. It's brushing past. It's touching the small of her back. His name is staring at her. It's waiting for her. It's look at the rack on that. His name is 999, already dialed. It's stripping her of independence. His name is keys in between her knuckles. His name is a never-ending presence. His name is avoiding public transport. It's leaving a night out before it's done. His name is dictating her skirt is too short. It's a change of shoes that make it easier to run. His name is hiding in the crowd, behind buildings, bins and cars. His name is pressed up against her. It's using code words at the bar. His name is continuing to ask questions, even though he hears no answer. His name is turning innocent sentences provocative and labeling it as banter. His name is texting when she gets home. It's walking clear of alleyways and ditches. His name is catcalling and dog whistles, but we're not pussies and we're not bitches. His name is pepper spray. It's a rape alarm. It's impacting her mental health. His name is triple checking a taxi number plate. His name is her not leaving her house. If you tell me his name, I have to report him. His name is 10 years on. His name is suffocating me. His name is for the rest of my life. His name is therapy. If you tell me his name, I have to report him. His name is abuser. His name is depression. His name is anxiety. His name is fear. His name is panic. His name is PTSD. His name is nightmares. It's in the dark. It's lodged in my memory. His name is control. It's impossible to console. His name is me, never being free. If you tell me his name, I have to report him. His name is rapist. It's judgment. It's a man phoning from victim support. His name is men have torn me down and I'm supposed to let them build me back up. His name is taking me to court. His name is behind closed doors. It's loud noise, it's sudden movements. His name is driving too fast. It's never in the past. His name is yes, but can you prove it? If you tell me his name, I have to report him. His name is in safe hands. Her name is never going to feel safe again. Her name is affected, disconnected, neglected, and disrespected. His name is going to haunt her. His name is going to take her life. His name is protected. Thank you.
Wow. Unmute, guys. Unmute, 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 unmute. Show us some love. Clap it up, snap it up.
That was really good. Really good.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the incomparable Jemima Hughes. Brilliant,
Thank
brilliant, brilliant. Just simply brilliant. I love that piece. I think it's so powerful. I remember after doing the show with you, and I came home. Not came home. I'm here at home. My sister came home, and I told her about you. And I pulled up your video on YouTube, and she was just blown away. And then she went and told two of her friends. I think you have two new followers on YouTube because of that. They just were blown away. I'm just typing in her YouTube channel. If you get a chance, there's some other brilliant videos there. And Jemima, when you finish, type your information in where people can find your book, your other stuff. But I just think it's just brilliant the way you're phrasing, the way you use the metaphors to talk about subjects that are still taboo. And I love that last piece because, I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day. As a man, I can't ever remember going anywhere where I had to worry about my safety. Walking down the street, even if I see two other men that may look like it's in the moment, but to leave and to think about where you're going and how yeah, I think
you've hit a really powerful point there, because I've got a couple of male friends who heard that piece and then came to me and said, well, what I know I'm not going to hurt a female. How do I make sure that females know I'm not threatening to them? Like if they're walking down a street and I need to get past or whatever. And it was really powerful for them to be asking those questions. That's exactly what this kind of talking about this stuff should do. Yeah. It should make women feel heard and feel safer and feel like they can speak out when things like this do come up. But also from a male's perspective, be able to kind of go, okay, so I know I'm not a bad guy, but how do I just make you feel safer with my presence? Like if you're out for a jog and you're about to jog up behind a woman in front of you, cross the road, jog the other side of the road, don't go straight up behind her. Like those kinds of things. It's such power. This is how we change. Just hearing you say that you'd spoken to your sister and that you spoke to a couple of other people, this is sharing these messages like this. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. Thank you for letting me be heard, and also for passing those messages along, because it honestly, it means so much to me, for me to be doing, I started writing for myself, and I realize now I share for other people. And so for other people to be taking such powerful messages away from it, it means the absolute world, and makes it so cliche, worth going through, which I never want to say. I didn't ever want to go through things that I've been through, but it does make it that little bit more worthwhile when you're able to about it and make that kind of impact. So thank you for listening to me. It's so powerful.
Oh, you're most welcome. You know, I think all of us live in countries that are fairly developed, and you know, us men have done some amazing things, but I always tell people there isn't a woman's issue on this planet. There's a man's issue. And a lot of it is how we still perceive woman. There are many factors to that, but the fact that women still, I know many women who feel very safe, but there's still many women that don't. And a lot of it is because of our perceptions at times. And I don't, it's not looking to vilify men at all.
Absolutely not.
There are a lot of good men that have done a lot of good things, but the fact that we still have women that feel that way says we have an issue. And I'll say it again, it's not a woman's issue, it's a man's issue. I remember the poet Cheryl James, you know her from Salt and Pepper, if you remember that group from back in the day. And she did a brilliant poem, and she talked about that. She talked about it's a man's world, because you know, you're the one that's been doing shit, so all the shit belongs to you as well. But her poem was a reminder to remind men of women and how important women are and how important they are to their lives. And you know, I always say that, you know, one of the greatest magic tricks on this planet is men convincing women we are the power. Because as much as men are powerful in how we're built, there's one thing we cannot ever do, and that's to bring life into this world. And I think this is just my belief. I think we've always feared that power from women because they can bring life. Yes, we can plant the seed, but we plant the seed in the garden and you grow the seed and then you bring the seed to life. And that's a power that I think sometimes scares men. I don't know, it's just my thing, but I just think we need to, in 2022, I'm not going to sit there and go, I wish we weren't having these conversations. We still didn't have these issues. It's just the way it is. And it's time for us to be more uplifting of women, regardless whether you're from Canada or England or Scotland or Trinidad or Indonesia, doesn't matter where. We need to remember that we're one humanity that consists of men and women, and not saying how you want to identify, but men and women, and to embrace that and to embrace our differences as men and women and not fear it any longer or put one up above the other, because it's time for us to walk differently. And I think if my personal belief is, if we truly embrace women, because I you know, maybe I'm old fashioned, I believe the job of every man is to protect woman, and not to protect woman because she can't protect herself or she's weak or feeble. No, because she is the soil that grows the seed, and that is most valuable. And it is our job to protect that which is most valuable. I have a little, well, she's not a little girl anymore, but a teenager that's going to be a woman very soon. And I've always told her from the moment she came into this existence, the line from Jerry Maguire, "You complete me," sounds great in a movie, but you are complete the way you are. You need no man to complete you. Wanting a man, that's a different story, but you are complete. God does not make incomplete. God does not make broken. God didn't make us needing to be fixed. We are complete as we are. So anyway, thank you so much for that. Thank you. I'm gonna just, before we finish off with you and bring on the other poets, I'm gonna do something that I've always wanted to do. I never did it in my other show. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Bernard Pivot. He was a French TV personality that did this thing called Bouillon de Culture. And then James Lipton from the Actors Studio kind of made it famous over here in North America, where he'd ask his guests these questions. I'm not going to ask you all 10, Jemima, but I wanted to ask you, instead of doing your traditional, so tell us your background story and where you're from and what were you like as a schoolgirl? What's your favorite word as a poet?
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay. Okay, so starting with the first bit you said, I'm 29, I'm Birmingham based, always have been. And I grew up very shy, very sheltered, very bubble wrapped, never saw any negativity. And it's just the way I was raised, which obviously I'll cover the change of my life in a minute, but that obviously made that far more hard hitting because I wasn't prepared for those kinds of things to actually happen to people. I thought things like rape and stuff like that happened in movies and on telly and in the news. I didn't realize that it happened to people and that I was a people. So yeah, my upbringing was very, very sheltered and bubble wrapped, and wonderful. I can't underestimate the fact that I had an incredible childhood, all the good memories, wonderful people around me, very, very, very lucky. And to be honest, I never ever hated being on stage. The shyest kid you could imagine, wouldn't have a conversation with somebody, would hide behind whoever I could. If it was my mum or whoever, I would hide and grab on to and let them do the talking. I was so shy all the way up until in my 20s, so shy. Getting on a stage, absolutely not. Drama was my least favourite subject in school by a mile. Such bad memories of drama in school. Hated the drama teacher, even though he was wonderful. I just didn't want to do what he wanted me to do. So yeah, I was in the opposite basically of what I am these days. I grew up in sport, so I grew up doing trampolining, and I used to travel and coach kids and compete myself and do all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately lost all of that when I got abused when I was 16, and that all kind of came crashing down, and I had to leave the sport and everything I'd ever known, and I thought that I would do that for the rest of my life. I thought that I would be a coach and that would be that, and I'd be set for life. And then it all came crashing down and I had to leave, and I kind of got by through like retail work and things like that. And then I got invited to come back to the coaching a little bit later on, and again it just all crumbled and fell through, and this is me keep trying to rebuild and then losing it. And eventually when I was about 25, I realized that my past was catching up with me, and that's why nothing was kind of sustainable, because I kept crashing through the emotion and through the trauma, because I'd never had help with it, because I didn't realize I had to get help for it. I thought I just had to ignore it. And so I started having my breakdown, started writing. It got to a point where I wasn't leaving my room or even speaking to anybody at times. And me and my friend were talking about it today, the friend whose house I'm at, and the friend who I spoke about in the poem. And he literally sometimes will just go, not sure how you did it, like not sure how you're here, but glad you are, but not quite sure how you did it. Because it really did get that bad. And I now wouldn't change the poetry for the world. I absolutely love that I have this outlet, that I know these people, that I get to hear. I would never have joined a poetry event if it wasn't for the fact I'd started doing my own. And the privilege of listening to all you guys and all the events that I've been able to go through to over the last few years, I wouldn't change that for the world. So regardless of what that means for my past, and whether that's me accepting my past, I don't know, but this I wouldn't change for the world. This is everything to me. I feel like this is where I need to be. And obviously me hating drama and hating being on stage is not a thing now, because I absolutely love it. And what I do say that what I do is poetry, because I'm not primarily a writer. I write with a performance in mind. So that's that's my story really. That's where I come from. I'm pretty sure there was a second part to your question, but I've rambled on for so long I can't remember what it was.
That's okay. I'm just gonna ask you a couple of more. What's your favorite curse word?
Oh, I keep using douche canoe at the moment, which is, I don't know if that's a real curse word. It's a bit lame, isn't it? But I do use that a lot.
Okay.
I'll probably say fuck the most though.
Fuck the most. Okay.
Yeah.
I like bastard. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I use that occasionally, rarely, but occasionally, but I feel like I use fucking poems are just like for exclamation. Like
I'm not a person that swears a lot, but I'm also not a person that is, especially in writing, I think sometimes a well-placed F-bomb is quite important and quite useful. So,
100%.
what's your favorite sound?
Saxophone. Yeah, I love jazz, just listening to jazz. I'm not very musically minded and I don't know a lot about music. And I know, all I know is I just love listening to jazz.
Okay.
I'm just embarking on collaborating with a couple of musical friends of mine to try and turn some of the poetry into like a music poetry mashup, which is very exciting. So we're in the throes of like watching a lot of other inspiration, and I'm just enjoying listening to like the flutes and the saxes and the trumpets and stuff. So yeah, I'd say my favorite sound is a sax out of all the sounds. What's yours?
My favorite sound is listening to kids laugh.
That's lovely. The innocence.
Living with my sister now and with her 4 kids, my nieces and nephew, or even my kids. Yeah, I just love listening to kids laugh.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I like the honesty that comes with children.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah. I mean, children are they're naive, they don't know much, but there's also an innocence and a power to them. Especially babies, but yeah, I just love hearing children laugh. I have many things. I love hearing coffee brewing. So, but I think that's more the smell. So, last question: if heaven does exist, what would you like God to say to you?
Probably something to do with using what I was supposed to use in the way that I used it, with regards to kind of speaking about the stuff that I speak about and trying to, because if I reach one person with what I'm saying and make their journey a little bit easier and less traumatic, great, done, enough. And I think that would probably be the one thing that I'd like to have acknowledged is just thank you for using that in a way that, I mean, really, no one can expect you to react in any kind of way to trauma. However you react to trauma is fine, because there's no expectation on that. And obviously the way that I went through it originally, I wouldn't have been able to do anything like this with it. But to work through that and come to this point and now be able to do this, I think something said about just kind of, that was cool. That was cool that you did that you used that and did that at the end of it. That would be nice.
Nice. Thank you so much. Thank you for indulging the questions. Thank you for the gift of you. Thank you for holding and sharing space with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Jemima Hughes, give it up for her.
Thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
You have surpassed whatever. I don't have expectations, but if I did, you surpassed it. So thank you. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to hearing everybody else.
I was just gonna say, now you get to sit back.
Oh, I can chill now.
You can chill, you can breathe, you can have a coffee or a tea. Yes. And sit back and listen to some of these other brilliant poets. I think I've heard everyone here recite before, and well, a couple I haven't, but still I'm looking forward to it. So without further ado, I'm just gonna call you out. I'm gonna start off with Aniqua, then Ariana, and then Dor. I'm gonna try and mix it up, and then after Dor, I'm gonna try and get Yanni on, because I know it's getting late for Yanni. So hopefully you'll stick around for the whole thing. But if not, same with Daniel. So the ones that I know have to, it's getting late, I'm gonna try and get on soon. This is where I say this is like practicing love. in the early part of any relationship, it's easy to love. But then as life goes on and life starts throwing situations at you, particularly hard ones, it's not so easy. So it's no different than a recital, especially whether it's in person or online. It's easy to be attentive at the beginning, but as we move on and we get deep into the hours, and we'll be here till midnight. No, I'm just kidding. I invite you though to stay plugged in, to still bring that same energy. Like I said, the option is for you to keep your mic, not your mic, but keep your camera on. I invite you to, so we can see your faces as everyone recites. Anyway, I'll shut up and we'll start the recital. As I said, I'd like to bring to the mic Aniqua. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So I had something else in mind, but as I was listening, the Lord put I've read this poem before, many of you haven't heard it, but that's what's placed on my heart to read, so I kind of changed up. And it's a poem where I'm talking to God. It's called Your Love. Every morning I wake up with you. So I look forward to waking up every morning. Your love fills the room. I love that you are always with me. You're never too busy to hear what's on my mind. I love that you provide all that I need and many of my wants. You are my peace. The more I embrace our time together, the more peace I feel, the more joy I feel, the more hope I feel, the stronger I feel. You give me wings. You are so patient with me. You're always willing to forgive my mistakes, and I make so many mistakes. I'm in awe of your grace. I know it bothers you when I won't come to you and ask you for what I desire. You told me there is nothing too hard for you to do, and yet I still waver in my asking or don't think to ask at all. Sometimes I get distracted and I look to other things to give me what I need, but you are still there, loving me, never leaving my side, waiting for me to turn to you. You've told me so often not to be anxious about anything. You've given me proof of how capable you are. Your resume is amazing. I am so blessed to get to know you, to be loved by you, to love you. You even stay with me knowing that I'm still discovering how to love you, learning how to love, learning what love is. I remember when I started to drift away. You reached out so I wouldn't drift too far. I remember when I was so angry with you because you didn't do what I wanted you to. You didn't say yes to my request. I didn't understand. I didn't even want to speak to you anymore, but you waited. You stayed and you held me while I cried, although I ignored your touch. You did not change. You did not pull away. You said no because you knew what was best, as you always do, even when I can't see it, even when my feelings can't handle it, even when I don't understand it, even when it's hard. You make the difficult decisions because you are strong. You are the strongest, and you are the epitome of wisdom. You continue to hold me as I heal from my hurt, from my pain, from my disappointment. You remind me of how much peace and strength I have when I lean into your love. And I remember, subsequently, I start to feel healing. I stop fighting to stay angry and hurt, and I release the pain to you because you can handle it. You are strong. You are the strongest. You never leave me. I am so in awe with you. The more I realize that you are with me, the more I see that I can do anything, face anything, overcome anything with you. I'm so used to hoping people won't leave. And I realize so are you. You've experienced more rejection than I can ever fathom. And still you stay, waiting, loving, hoping people won't leave you, hoping I won't walk away. And even when I do, you walk with me, waiting for me to see you. You watch and wait. And when I go to sleep, you are there with me. Your love is infallible. I've never known a love like this. You love me always, all of me, just as I am, even when I struggle to love myself. So needless to say, today, as I am in my best mental space, the space that embraces your presence, the space that acknowledges your sovereignty, the space that is in awe of your love. I look forward to life, and especially waking up every morning and feeling your love fill the room. Thank you, Lord, for loving me. I love you. That's mine.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yay.
And I just have, thank you. I just have one more. It's not too long.
It's all good.
It's called I'm Made in the Image of the I Am. I am it all. I am dirt roads and stove roasted breadfruit. I am mango trees and bus up shot. I am city streets and train stations. I am double dutch and handball. I am quarter water. I am black cake ham and homemade bread. I am sorrel and warby. I am church on Sundays, Wednesdays, and so forth. I am quinoa and lentil loaf. I am cucumber juice. I am Danielian handwriting and voice to text. I am public school and university. I am young and mature in age. I am funny and analytical. I am a woman of God. I am gospel music and reggae. I am quiet time and social butterfly. I am homemade and store-bought. I am mother, daughter, sister, aunt, cousin, godmother, friend, and minister. I am a dancer and actor. I am a writer and singer. I am road warrior and homebody. And yes, the list goes on. And yes, I am so much more. I embrace it all. There is so much in me and so much more to discover. I can't be limited to one space and time. I must not be limited to one experience. I must tap into it all and tap into new possibilities. I am made in God's image. God is the I am.
Thank you so much. I still love watching your expression when you see how people react to your poetry. Like you're still amazed that people like me, they like me. Good words. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. All right, we'll keep the hits going. That's why, if I one day when I'm a rich man, I'm gonna have to all send you all money because I just feel like I'm stealing from you guys. All right, up next. Who did I say was next? Oh, Ariana.
Hi,
There you are.
this one is called Tomorrow's Future. Okay, nervous. This one is called Tomorrow's Future. Forgetting all my cares, soaking in the night's air. As I sit in the gentle breeze, it almost brings me down to my knees. Finally seeing what God had in store, I look and listen at creation's whisper. When I think of the different types of love, it moves me to help create a solution. What will happen in 10 years or more if we pass off the problem or simply ignore? The happiness we had today will turn into sorrow. So play a part and help for a better tomorrow. The second one. To do the second one?
Yep.
Okay. This one is called Baby Don't Cry. Baby, don't cry. I'll be lost if this is goodbye. Just now. Hold on, please. Hold on, please.
It's okay. Life happens. Assuming it sounded like traffic or something just came up, or okay, I don't want too much dead here. Let's Dor, can you read? And then when she comes back, we'll get her to finish her set. So so Ariana, if you're hearing us, we're just going to continue with Dor, and when you come back, you'll get back on. So
Sorry about that.
Oh, are you back?
I'm back.
Okay, well, all right. I was gonna get
I'm
Dora to go,
sorry.
but you continue on, continue on.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Life happens.
Okay. Okay. Baby, don't cry. I'll be lost if this is goodbye. Lift your head, hold it high. I'll always be there, here by your side. Dry your tears, look my way. Hold my memories every day. Let my smile be your cuddles. Let my hand ease your pain. Feel my warmness, hear my song. Girl, you know you're not alone. Don't cry, baby. Hold on.
The beauty of not living alone, eh? I like to get Ariana on early as well because she's really new and I know she gets really nervous. And I remember trying to
Okay,
recite early
come back,
on.
come back.
So
Sorry.
you don't need to be sorry. That's all good.
Okay.
Keep going. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Okay. Hold my cuddle, let my smile be your cuddles, let my hand ease your pain. Feel my warmness, hear my song, girl, you know you're not alone. Don't cry, baby, dry those tears. I'll hold you close every night. If days go dark, none can't keep us apart. Let my presence keep you strong. You will never, never be alone. I will never, never let you go. Baby, don't cry. Let the color change in your bright blue eyes. In the night, I'll be your light. If you're scared, I'll hold you tight. A tear won't fall without a fight. So baby, don't cry. If you're down, I'll hold you. I'll lift you high. Because you're my beautiful angel and you deserve to fly. Thank you.
Yay! All right.
Ariana, how do you feel? You feel like you're getting more confident?
Yeah, but I'm a little nervous this time. Still getting old, trying to get comfortable.
Well,
Still nervous.
you know, I don't think you're trying. I think you're doing. I think you're doing brilliantly. So keep showing up, keep writing, keep reciting. Trust me, because this is what the second time now you've done this, and you could just, I could feel your confidence growing. And don't worry about the noise and people showing up. Life happens, right?
Yeah.
Just keep showing up. Just keep showing up. Thank you so much for that. Give her another snap, guys. All right. Now we get to hear Dor, all the way from Ireland.
Thanks, Roll.
You're welcome.
So first, just thanks so much, Jemima and Ariana. It's great to be in good company, and I can't wait to hear the people after me as well. Yeah, so I'm going to read 3 poems today. The first one is a poem that I wrote at the beginning of lockdown. I moved to Ireland 5 months before lockdown started. And so my poetry emergence into the world happened mostly in lockdown, actually, first in a poetry gathering in Limerick, and then in lockdown. And it's been great finding poets and other people who do this. So the first poem I'm going to read is called "The Eel Experiencing 100 Years of Social Distancing." She feels gray and flat, no tears, no short delights lurk in dull rocks. Crevices constrict the spine. She lives in zings of slicing brief currents. Time has turned vampiric, cold, and leeching. She hasn't pricked her finger. No one is coming through the thorns. The week stretches, snaps questions into slapping rubber bands. What does silence mean? The air languishes. Words sink heavy, rewind in agony, circuits suspended in water. She looks at her roots, only they have escaped the postmodern. The second poem I'm going to read is dedicated to a very good friend of mine. Visit. Your building is an early 2000s monstrosity. Many palm trees and cultivated grass embedded in studded concrete. Sweat-stained balconies, a spit away from the Diamond Exchange, where night brings out prowlers in business suits and lambs paling in leopard print. Your building has an electronic directory and an empty echo of an atrium, a harbinger we missed. In your apartment, your mother is draped on a blue towel-covered armchair. Across from her, the fridge is stacked with the best sandwiches in the world. Down the hall, the aging, real round sink is poised below a mirror with burned out bulbs. Your face scrubber, suds dried, lies in its resting place beside your comb, time tangled in knots. Your room, a shelter of reinforced concrete, is shuttered. Your bed made, haunted by your grandmother still growling at me not to put my rucksack on it. At the edge of your desk, by mounds of books and neat papers, a framed photo you never put there. You hate vanity of any kind. Next to it, the only letter I wrote your mother, 2 pages of blunderings, when you always prefer brevity and color. Flesh-colored marble, 3 teal words, Shira Michal Dabush. My quivering fingers strike out as I whisper to you over the yard-side candle, the only 3 words that matter, over and over.
Yes, all right.
And lastly, this is a poem I wrote this year. Well, actually last year already, because we're in the new year. And it was published in the Banyan Review. And they have open submissions coming up. So just a note to all the poets out there. And I wrote it after I watched an interview with Richard Feynman. And he was talking about how reality can be expressed as the interaction between waves. And I thought about what that meant. On being unable to walk through walls. What would I incant were I a ghost to be refound repeatedly? What can I say so beautiful that it is unforgettable, so simple that it echoes until the next time heard? What could equal the medium of waves, be worthy of ionospheric resonance, more relentless than a well-loved tune lasting beyond memory, more universal than breath? When found, I will translate my waves of words into the language of gravity, electric pull, to be plagiarized by a firefly in her epic on wind. She will turn into a fossil buried in a rock someone rests on. We might both break through someday, all entangled in possibility, in pull and echo, briefly rising again, like a sign. Thank you for listening.
Beautiful. I love your words. Great phrasing, great phrasing. I can see why you were just that piece was published. Thank you for, can you put in the chat the review that's looking to accept submission? So people,
I will.
Yep, if other poets want to submit, that'd be great. Thank you so much. And also you can weekly catch Dor at Lime Square Poets.
Yeah, with my co-founder, Lauren O'Donovan, who's also in Canada right now. But
yeah, she's going to, yeah. So I found them month or so ago, and I wasn't able to make it last week, but I love going. So if you poets are looking for a great open mic, it's a very welcoming group of poets. So thank you so much, Dor.
Yeah, and we invite poets in all stages to come and read.
Yeah.
You know, we like to hear everyone.
And that's the thing I love about a lot of these shows. But yeah, I've noticed that it doesn't matter if you just wrote your first poem or if you've been writing for your whole life. Everyone's welcome, and they treat everyone like you've been writing your whole life, and like you're a published poet. So I think that's really cool. It's not too many groups do that. So anyway, thank you so much, Dor.
Thank you.
Yeah, put that in the chat. Put the Lime Square Poets in the chat, because I know there's some poets here like Ariana. I'm always invited to do these different open mics. Anikwa, I know you're relatively new to the online community, so these are venues I think you would really shine at and learn a lot as well. So, all right, up next, let's go to the other side of the world, and let's have my friend Yanni share some of her brilliant poetry. So up to the mic, Yanni.
Okay.
Go, Yanni! All right.
Yay! Thank you.
I love it. Whoop it up, guys. Whoop it up. Yes.
Okay, I will start to read. I will read 3 of my poems today, and I will start with my poem with the title Seeker. A little bit brief on the poem itself. It is about my writing about my relationship with my son, as he is having his delay in his development. And when he was still 2 years old, it is very hard to communicate with him because he always been a tantrum kid. So at that time, it is very a stressing moment for me. And I wrote this poem based on that feelings at that time. Okay, I will start to read. Seeker. The unfolded image of rusty hole. One is untouchable, invisible to others. My mind twitching, tense, blocking the figure. 1, 2, 3, counting my fears endlessly. I need to see things that you keep them from me, that hatred that you scream it on me through your empty eyes, through your hoarse voices, through your unlocked image. I still need to learn how to love, how to hold, to talk, to walk along with you. I am far from my best. Yes, I know, I do. Let me swallow every little second of time to learn the real you. I am the beast and dwarf at the same time. My brain and heart never sync properly. My eyes and mouth never sing in the same harmony. But these tall and small feelings always strong toward you. So don't give up. Dive deeper into my soul and reach me through the dark. For through my pain and storm, there is always a place for you to find love that you can always read unconditionally. Thank you. Okay.
Good job, Yanni. Good job.
I will read my second one. This poem is based on my sister that had a coma in her pregnancy at that time. And she told me the story that she was trapped in a lake, some kind of like lake, but she has feelings that she's in coma or something like purgatory land or something like that. So I write this story based on her testimony and her story back then. And here I will read this one. Trapped in purgatory. Dark, cold, cast away from the light, swallowed. A boat silences my journey, loosens my unstable grip. I sat on illusion, sailing over the trail of massive bottle, with no wave nor current, the paddler in the wake of my shadow, eclipsed the existence with the quizzical notions. My lips murmured, forming some syllables, yet paralyzed by words. Echoes stalled at the tip of my tongue, as if muted by emptiness. The blurry mist froze, accompanying the coma dream, projecting the scenes, the image of a body, long resting on a bed, and circles by tears. There are no seconds to count, no day nor night, the mirage of immortality laid before me. A scream pierced the chaotic stillness. Prayers were uttered through the frantic eyes, begging for a chance to complete the unfinished. Yet my soul was numbed by shackles unseen. God, please, not now. Okay, thank you. Okay, this one, I think, this is my last piece. I wrote this one not too long ago, and this will be very quick. The title is Behind the Wall of Elegance. Cage of life accumulates wisdom. Within the insincerity soul, sensibility's root, ensnaring the veins of fluctuated words. Angst is dominating, raising its herds, manipulating gratitude, sink into a morals dispute. A contemplation be the uncollected fruit, hanging, dangling, awaiting the bees and birds. Yet bars of anguish wall the splendid mind. Only forgiveness could seek the undefined. Then the heart shall not bleed and hurt. Melodic rhymes beautified by a ballad's quartz. Within the melancholy, happiness slightly blind. Fate is reweaving the stories backwards, while wisdom stitches verses of silken shirts. Paradox soul, still vivid in its intricacies spellbind. Sorry, I cannot continue. Okay. Oh. Okay, sorry, I cannot continue. Yeah.
Okay.
My laptop is in trouble.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Like the sound of that. Is that a newer piece or?
Yes, this is in my laptop. Wait. Okay. Let me finish this one. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Is it dying or not dying? Is it just glitching?
No, okay, yeah, the screen is kept blinking like that. Okay, I will continue the three last. Oh, okay, no, yeah, just a little while. Okay, fate is reweaving the stories backwards, while wisdom stitches verses of silken sherds. Paradox soul still vivid in its intricacy, spellbind. Through this anomaly, intuitions designed, building this apathy of freedom, nurturing the inspirations to absolute. For the muse, no longer in mute, and elegancy takes role in the new kingdom. Thank you. Yeah, I finished it. Finally.
Thank you, Yanni. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, unfortunately.
So sorry for the.
That's okay. You know, people have to say being sorry is a Canadian or American thing. It seems to be a global thing. We all say sorry so much. You don't have to be sorry, Yanni. I was just gonna say, you know, I've had the pleasure of getting to know Yanni over the last few months, and although we haven't been able to connect, life has kind of gotten crazy on my end here. I enjoy workshopping with her and just building a friendship with her because it amazes me. English is not her first language, and the poetry she writes blows my mind. Like, just blows her mind. So she's a brilliant poet, and I love the fact that she's coming out more to recite. I think Yanni should definitely come to like Lime Square and some of these other places because I think your poetry would be well received. So give her another quick snap. And while we're doing that, I will invite a man from that part of the world as well, Julian, to join us and share a piece with us.
Oh, hi.
How are you, my friend? Good to see your face.
Yeah. Just let me switch audio. So this is called Letting Go. Just the one poem. I remember the first time they put you in my arms. I remember I was so hesitant, worried my clumsy hands would drop you. My hands were trembling at the new response, the weight of the world heavy on my shoulders, the air swirling around me, knowing that something had changed, my head giddy with the way forward. I remember holding out my hands, palms open, welcoming you, your mouth drooling, one tiny hand gripping the swaddling, another like a tiny fist. I remember cradling you like you were something so precious, so fragile that you would break if I held you too tight or let go. I remember that your eyes were shut like you were dreaming, like you hadn't awakened yet to this harsh, harsh world. Fast forward 22 years. I remember the call you made, Dad, come get me. I had too much. I'm in the toilet downstairs, your voice trembling. I jump out of bed, relief knowing I'd given you the get out of jail card. Call me anytime you are uncomfortable of your company, even if it's 4 a.m. and you can't get a cab to come pick you up. I know this. The second time out of rehab, I wasn't going to pressure you. I had to deal with adjusting to your own terms. We rushed down the apartment building, found you flat on the ground. The guards were hovering. You were still conscious enough to apologize repeatedly. I'm sorry, Dad, I'm sorry. We retrieved your phone, your wallet, hoisted you on our shoulders, brought you up, legs dragging to the lift, barely there. You said you threw up. You said you wanted to throw up again. We stumbled through the front door, got you to the bathroom. You mumbled another apology. This time, no anger. This time, no wasted energy on losing it. We had enough therapy to know better this time. I knew about codependency this time. We knew it was a disease with no cure, only recovery and relapse. This time, I focused on what was right, not what was wrong. He asked to go out. He told me who he was with. He called, he reached out to me. He knew when it was time to come home. He apologized before he blacked out and lost time again. One day at a time, they told us in therapy, one night at a time for us. It's still a harsh, harsh rule. You lay in the toilet strip, refusing to leave the bathroom in case you puke again. So we left you. Your eyes shut, mouth drooling. One hand swaddling the bowl, the other palm open. Still precious, still fragile. My son. And I, still afraid you will break if I let go. Thank you.
Wow. It's the second time I've heard you recite. First time I think is when you shared being a police officer. Or, yeah, the emotions that your words invoke and just the way you recite. Oh, as a father, I felt that. As a human, you feel that. So, thank you, Julian. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for your sharing your poetry from the heart. That's, yeah. I felt that. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you. All right. See, this is why I love it. This is why I love it. Up next, I've not heard this woman recite, so I'm really looking forward to her. But you know, your brother in New Orleans as well, part of the Inspired Poetry Group, brags about you. So let's put our hands together for Valerie. Snap it up for Valerie. You get to share with us, and we get to hear your beautiful words. So.
Hey guys. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You're good to go.
All right. Aquatic swan dance. I wrote this. I'm a resident of New Orleans. I was born and raised here. This was written based on a hurricane flood that we had recently called Hurricane Ida. Have you ever watched the water dance? It trickles, it flows, it ebbs, it prances. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops, 4. Have you ever watched a setting sun on a beautiful seashore? A symphony that cannot be written or scored. Have you ever watched the water dance? It's symphonic, a liquid spell with a euphoric trance, fluid splendor, powerful and tender, invigorating, healing, liquid love, a divinely designed natural resource. It's beautiful, even when it's angry. You watch the water dance, you know it can stomp, slide, and prance. No prima ballerinas here. Choreographed by God's own hand. As smooth as the ocean's face under a full moon. Birds and fish do not understand why we walk about on land when there's so many vast, eloquent waterfalls, bouncing, sliding, hopping, y'all. Creeks and bayous, seas and oceans. God has given us a divine sacred potion. Did you ever watch the water dance? Choreographed by God's own hand. Cleansing, refreshing, seductive spell She ebbs and flows, her waves even swell. She flows with an aquatic, hypnotic enchant. Lunging waterfalls, tornado pirouettes, waterfalls leaping over the earth's fingertips, down the throat and down my throat at full sprint, transforming into a cascading, seductive sway under a jealous sky. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops, 4 are just the beginning of a torrential downpour. Nothing like the wind of the seashore. The wind and the seashore in your hair, the smell of the ocean everywhere. Beam me up to where the water began, right in the palm of God's own hand, where angels swoon and cherubs dance as a jealous sky watches the water dance.
Oh, wow. Wow. As the jealous sky watches the water dance. Wow.
I do not own the rights to that music.
That's okay.
I know y'all think I did it, but I didn't, okay?
But you did the poem, but you did the poem. All right, continue on, my sister.
Okay, this is called One Tribe. We are one. One tribe. One nation. We are one. So many races, so little time, so much violence and city crime. How can we sleep knowing we have a nation to feed? We are one. One tribe. Yet the angry, the hungry, and the homeless wander the street in search of that long lost American dream. The old and the sick, they quickly deep fix as the plastic surgeons patch on the rich. Concrete cities and crackerjack parks as sirens scream homicide, tragedy in the dark. So many evils, so little love. But we can always rise above. There's but one creator that we all come from, and all our spirits wake to the same sun. The past is past, what's done is done. One soft kiss from liberty, and change has begun. Change has begun. Yes, we are one. One tribe, one people under the sun. Roses, tulips, chrysanthemums, and the divine garden of life. We are one. There's power in unity. There's power in love. There's power in faith. But a nation divided can only breed hate. We must come together, not tomorrow, but today. Let us endeavor to work together, to stick together, to heal together, because there's power in unity. And we are one. There's a new tribe in town. You can call us the New Americans. We don't march for sex. We don't march for race. And we don't march for religion. We march for humanity. Humanity. Because we are one.
You know what was cool about that piece? You started reciting. I don't know why. The gallery flipped, and it put you right in the center as you started reciting that piece. And it just made us feel all connected as you started. was just brilliant.
Thank you.
I so agree with that poem and agree with your viewpoint. Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Mm.
Well, I have one more.
Yes, ma'am. Please do.
At one point, I had a very devastating trauma. My daughter, 22 years old, was murdered. And it was a form of domestic violence. And it was a very long court case, and I was very depressed. And I really didn't think I had a reason to live or write. And this was one of the first poems I wrote coming out of that depression. And that happened 5 years ago. It's called The Black Butterfly. This is in honor of my daughter, Angelique Smith. And she gave me that name. There was a time when all I did was cry until I saw life passing me by. Finally, I began to try. Slowly but surely, the old me died. A new light began to shine. You could see it in my eyes. And I began to metamorphosize, leaving all negativity behind, feeling good and looking fine, standing tall and spitting rhymes. Somebody needs to listen because I believe I'm on a mission. I'm not extravagant, but I am spectacular. I use terms of scholarly vernacular. Listen up because I am love. Best believe I can back it up. I transcend space and time. My love cannot be defined. This is how I metamorphosized into a bright, brilliant black butterfly, like the ones up in the sky. I may not have wings, but I can still fly. This kind of swagger you just can't buy. I dare you to just look in my eyes. You will be helplessly hypnotized. Those I light on will never be the same. And they will never forget my name. See, I climb inside your mind without a map of any kind. Sing a black girl's lullaby. You've just been kissed by the black butterfly.
Wow. Where the heck have you been hiding? Oh, Sally, that was beautiful. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing something so deep and personal too.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you inviting me to do this.
Well, I know you were supposed to do it before and then life happened again. So I just admire your strength and perseverance. So thank you for coming and being here today and sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
All right, let's continue on. Danelli, you are next, my new friend from the state of Indiana.
Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for having me. Again, I'm always appreciative to get to collaborate with all you wonderful artists. Everybody that we've heard so far today has just been breathtaking. I have 4 shorter pieces if I have time.
Oh yeah,
you just tell me if you need to cut me off.
Ice cream. I need
This
my
one's
water.
Saving Grace. I looked up to the sky today, looking for you, seeing your blue eyes in the skyline, the prettiest shade of blues. They always beheld a sadness that couldn't quite be seen, but also at times a madness when you were somewhere in between. Worlds of fevered insanity and a horizon beyond my mind, walking aimlessly, leaving it all behind. Trying to make sense of it all, drifting about, feeling my mind slip in the details, slipping in and out. Your madness pulling at me, trying to make me drown. I wanted to swim in the shallow end, but I got pulled to the deep far down. Trying to remember how to swim, but my limbs betrayed me. Searching for your face in a familiar mind, losing minor details in the passing of time. You won't ever fully slip away as I come back now and then to that place where you left me, and my mind dives deep within. Every time I remember what I went through trying to save you, makes me want to leave it all behind. But trying to save me too is just a trick of time. Parts of me just want to leave and come where you are. But this life still drags me on this giant rotating star. My path is one of lostness every now and then, by far, as I am still unfolding from a time that I should have been. Every time I revisit there, it tries to pull me in, back to the place of what I should have been. Letting go of that image is the hardest part of this, seeing other places where you're still alive and taking part in all of this, in daily life and doing things that you should be doing here. But in this world, you ended us and left me here to fear. Someday it will all be fine and I'll see and touch your face. But until that day, I must be patient in my saving grace.
Yay.
All right, yay. Awesome.
Thank you. My camera keeps slipping down and I have the baby kitty that you've been seeing crawling all over me. He's down here in my lap trying to still get my attention. He's a little distracting as he's batting at my pages. Stillness, the soft hum of quiet resonating in my head, teasing my ears with words you never said. Quiet as the night, dark as the soul, releasing the sadness within her hold. Stillness in the pale moonlight, soft music plays on the radio, delighting the senses, with encrypted messages from beyond. Quiet and stillness have its secret way, moving about as they come out to play. Stillness holding its breath, waiting, watching, holding, teasing, taunting, feeling. Stillness like a flat line within your soul that took you and wouldn't let go, still and quiet with a final breath, releasing your essence upon your death. Soul in torment successfully unleashed into the dark with sweet release. Stillness is the flesh as the soul ascends into the nether where your next journey begins. Feeling you slowly slip away, becoming less and less apparent every day. Now two worlds that exist in tandem, feeling you abandon. The realm which is hers and used to be yours, she only sees you in certain hours. When we're both aligned in a certain which way, yours is by night and mine is by day. Watching you, feeling you, seeing you afar, sometimes sitting right beside me in the car. Missed in a way that cannot be described, stillness and silence abides. Echoes across spans of time and space, turns into a race. Who will see the other and the next in the dream? A day-wake sequence of scenes. Patience and love and understanding why you had to say your final goodbye.
Thank you.
All right, these next two are a little lighter in heart. Oh my goodness. Here, he wants to say hi. He won't stop chewing on my paper. You got to go over there for a moment. Head full of words and a mouth full of air, dancing and moving in rhythm. Molecules crashing, body buzzing with beats, sways side to side, feeling relief of the movement of her body to the bass loaded beats. They resonate through her bones, body, and skin and penetrate deep down within, filling her mood with rhythm delight, taking her way into the night, pulsing and vibing, moving about, exchange of energy from within to without, saturating everything it touches. The frequencies flow, they resonate and carry her down into a world of its own. Rhythmic and mystic, it's a place not many have the pleasure to breach. It's full of color and astonishing things of wonder. Its negative annihilating abilities. Taking out any bad thoughts, bad woo. She takes the easy way there through the music and her soul, letting herself feel the vibes and losing control. closing her eyes and hearing the sound that takes her somewhere where everyone else is not around.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
All right, last one.
Last one, yeah.
Her heart on her sleeve, feelings felt deep in her bones. If you have a part of her, you'll never be alone. She shares her deep healing with whomever is in her heart. Her heart knows no difference in together or apart. Etheric attachment with heartstrings connect. She battles your battles without resentment, clinging on to hope that she will win. She fights it out and carries on, feeling the fight you waged within yourself, feeling the fight that you were dealt. She stands on the sidelines, feeling the war, hoping to overcome the emotional battle as she's done before. Put down your weapons and open your heart, release the disease or I'll have to depart. Cut all the ties and emotional cords, leaving her again once more. I'll keep standing here and fighting alone, but on your side, watching you slowly swallow your pride. Your silent battle and cries for help. Her energy can always be felt. She's tied to you in ways you might never understand. She's always right there, ready to take your hand. She feels the emotional waging of war and tries to help again once more. She realizes she can't fight everyone's battles, but she's always right here when you need her again once more.
Beautiful. If you have a part of her, you'll never be alone. Love that line. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I love you guys that share your experiences, and particularly the harsh ones, and then apologize because the poems are dark. No, don't apologize for so-called dark or whatever. That's the beauty of poetry, is to share those experiences.
They come from everywhere.
They come from everywhere, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Up next, I'm going to try and say it without messing it up. My friend from Scotland. Is it Kate? No?
Hello, Rawl. It's Koch here.
I don't know.
That's beautiful.
I'm sitting in my head going over it, going, don't mess it up. Don't
All
mess it up.
right. I'm so sorry to cause you such vexation, but it's lovely. Thank you. Thank you for learning how to say my name. Thank you very much. So I have 3 poems, and I started writing poetry just over a year ago as a kind of compulsion to make sense. And also, I think because in all my life, I have been interested in the voices that aren't heard and the voices that have been taken from people. I've lived a long part of my life with people who have intellectual disabilities, and many of who don't communicate in what we see as conventional ways. And so, anyway, so this is a way of saying that as a migrant child and as a child who comes from a country that at one time, and in a time that's in the living memory of my family, was at civil war and continued to have a troubled and violent story to live out from its post-colonial past in Ireland. I'm always so I've always been so touched by the experiences of people throughout the world that are experiences of being devoiced and having place taken from them. This is a poem that came in response to the life and death of George Floyd, which was something that touched us here on this side of the Atlantic. So this is a poem called Breathe. A man cries, one voice on a crowded street, on the bitter, beaten earth, one voice and 28 cries. Can you hear him? He cries out his last breath of life, his body and blood and his breath. You crush him. A world watches as you kneel, and it seems so easy to empty out a life like you would let out air from a tire. 28 cries, 577 seconds. I can't breathe. How can he? You have him under your knee. He cries and we cover our mouths. Someone's precious child cries, "Mama, Mama, help, help me, help. How can we breathe?" We watch until he cannot cry. This should not be so easy, but you kneel so hard, and it is so easy to take away breath and to pour out a body here on the side of a road, like you would let out a tire. But we can be we, and we can raise our voices. Can you hear us on this bitter, beaten earth, on every street, on every shore? Voices are pouring. We are sharing out the breath of life. You see it and you hear it, and we say it. We will breathe.
Mm. Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
So the second poem was written in response to, I was asked to write an article about the mother and baby homes report, which came out in Ireland just a year ago, in fact. And it's a poem in response to the great violence, really, which has been done to so many parents, women and children. And I, as an archaeologist, I'm always moved by the opportunities I've had to handle, to hold into my hands the precious of lives that have gone before. And this was really a response of hope from a burial 5,000 years ago, which shows the great care and the great love and the great compassion that we can have as this human family for the born and the unborn, and for those yet to have their stories told. So this is a poem called Birth. To remind me that the sun will return, I paint ochre onto your body. This unruly loll of limbs and hair, and I chew the deer's hide soft to make a shroud of teeth and bones. For you, birthed but never born. Wings clipped at your moment of flight, I bury you among these mounds. They circle the turf like beads of coal. Your body I give to oil and quartz, to this necklace of jet and bog, cradled upon the wing of a swan. Stories swarm like beetles from your grave, carved between the care of earth and stars, torn from this throat tarred with tears. They fall like arrows from a bow, and they tell of swans and geese and hungry women who hunt. And each tale is like a phone in the forest. In the quietening, we hear its pulse. People who will always be poets will search the whole world's ebb for your stories. They will tell how the fire ochre sun opened up your wings and how you fanned its flames all about the earth.
Wow. People who will always be poets. Dora and I had the same reaction when we heard that line. Brilliant, brilliant.
So thank you, poets and people together in this final poem. If it's okay, if I read a third poem.
Oh, for sure.
This poem is called "Hope is Being Born," and it's a remembering of Bell Hooks, who died so sadly last year. A poet who really touched so many lives. A poet, a person, and so hope is being born. Hope is being born this night with all life here in the skin thin of time's veil. The door between pasts and now is open. Come, language this land, name it welcome. Mend and tune the frayed edges of ebb and earth. Repair this rivening of shore and ocean. Be the thunder of upending storms. Be before the rain and after it. Be subversive kindness and burst sun upon us. Little sister, you are here, returned and new to the dawn as she sheds her first ochre tear. Come while sapphire cloaks the earth unwakened, while the world remains still within its own shadows. As the moon blade cleaves darkness, silver dust loiters at this crook cradled arm, a servant curved to the grace of your sleep. Blessed numb by this lightsome burden, my pulse tethered to your every breath, mouth for mouth I kiss kin into your ears, release the raven to call us home always, its wings fly fugitive into the wind. That wild heart dove cooes covenant, unfurled from feathered lips, make my heart surrender refuge, be love, be love, be love, beloved, be love, be love, be love, beloved, make my heart surrender refuge, unfurled from feathered lips, that wild heart dove cooes covenant, its wings fly fugitive into the wind, releases the raven to call us home always. Mouth for mouth, I kiss kin to your ears, my pulse tethered to your every breath, blessed numb by this lightsome burden, a servant curved to the grace of your sleep. Silver dust loiters at this crook cradled arm as the moon's blade cleaves the darkness. The world remains still within its own shadows. Come, while sapphire cloaks the earth unwakened to the dawn as she sheds her first ochre tear. Little sister, you are here, returned and new. Be subversive kindness. Burst sun upon us. Be before the rain and after it. Be the thunder of upending storms. Repair this rivening of shore and ocean. Mend and tune the frayed edges of ebb and earth. Come, language this land and name it. Welcome. The door between past and now is open. Here, in the skin thin of time's veil, this night, with all life, hope is being born.
All right, yay.
Wow.
Yay.
What's that line? Wings, refuge to the wind. Like I felt like I'm sitting back in some romantic time period, maybe in a cafe somewhere in Cairo or Nairobi, and listening to poetry, waiting for the train to show up, and this woman just shows up, starts spitting words. That's what it felt like. It's like almost like this smoky jazz kind of cafe feeling, and just your voice and the phrasing. Like, wow. You sure you shouldn't be a poet first and archaeologist second?
Well, thank you, Roland. Thank you. Thank you.
I look forward to hearing more of your stuff. Wow, 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 wow. Please, yeah, if you have a place where you put your poetry, your book, whatever, put it in the chat, because I don't know if you looked at the faces. You're probably busy reading, but everyone was like really listening to what you had to say. So thank you so much. All right, let's just keep moving on. Up next, from my part of the world, Delia from Mississauga, Ontario, just down the road. Are you unmuted? Oh, there you are.
Yes, can you hear me?
Can hear you now, can hear you.
Okay, I have two pieces, and one's, I'm gonna start off with the poem because it's a poetry recital. The other piece is actually sort of connected. People who know me will realize it's my story. And the second piece is more like a short story, but I just came up with the idea that I can actually turn it into a poem. So it's something I'm gonna work on later. So I'll get started. The poem is called An Unlikely Hero. She never wanted or needed a hero. She was strong, for she had to be. While everyone else mattered, she was nothing. Never ventured to think, well, what about me? She seemed happy enough. She learned to be free. In her comings and goings, her spirit so wild and so carefree. She hasn't a care in the world, I'm sure all could agree. Everyone would assume about her, we needn't worry. What else could she need? As if it really mattered. If she could conceive that thought for just a second, how she herself would be flattered. To be brave enough to think such, her mind would be shattered. Instead, her heart remained tattered, till hardly anything mattered. So she fought for herself when she thought she was right, clung to her self taught beliefs with all of her might. She was tough. Who could ever imagine that she would break? No one knew how relentlessly her cracked foundation did shake until it evolved into an unstoppable earthquake. Tried as she might, she could not escape. The demons inside, the voices torment her day after day, night after night. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. So she cried and she cried. And slowly she died. God, please send me a friend. I'm so lost and alone, she cried. Send me, please, please, someone to understand what no therapist can. She prayed in earnest to not wake up tomorrow. Another wretched day, only gut wrenching sorrow. But God heard her fervent cries. Slowly it unfolds, till one day she opened to the unlikeliest soul. His hands already full with his own special child, barely time to offer an ear or a smile. Yet he lifted her grief. He listened in earnest, without judgment or questions to poison her mind. He never before saw this vulnerable side. The girl he remembered took everything in stride. He accepted her feelings, wisely left those old memories and his own thoughts aside. He was there in the moment. He wanted to care. He knew how to love her. He knew how to dare. His own heart he gambled, hurt many times before. Still, he did open his heart's sealed off door. A decade later, she still can't comprehend, yet thankful for him every day still. Her best friend, her hero, her equal, her godsend. She may never tell him how he helped her escape death. So, how do people look at him and say, she's the best person that he ever met? Thank you. I'll get right on to, thank you.
Good piece.
Right on to the other one because it's longer. It's a piece that's inspired by a theme, Love's Rosy Glasses, which was published in a digital magazine, Cultural Reference, if anybody wants to check it out. It's called Love, the Action Verb, and it's pretty much a little story. And I'll show you a picture and that goes with the story. Call it a crush or a flirty 22-year-old mom with hardly anything to feel moved by, except a disgruntled husband who seemed to stop noticing her, except when she spoke to other men, and God forbid she crack a smile. Oh, the arguments that ensued. She chose to work in a factory rather than a part-time, white-collar Citibank job with limited hours. It just didn't seem sensible. Time lost commuting kept her away from her little girl, and the uncertainty and the certain uncertainty of a paycheck from a part-time job simply would not do. She was used to being financially independent. That would never change throughout her life. Did she choose to work in a not prestigious at all blue collar warehouse job because he was there, or because of the extra money and time it allowed? He openly flirted with the office girls anyway. She was nothing special to look at. Besides, they were both already married and not looking for another relationship. Maybe it was the confident way he smiled and carried himself about. He knew everything about this strange, new first world country she now called home. She looked up to him for that. She liked how naturally simple he made everything seem. One day at work, he was talking about some time off, taking some time off to move, and she realized he had bought his own home. After some time had passed, one day he drove up to work just beaming with pride over his first new car. He was doing all the things that she could only dream of doing many years down the road. Her little one would have loved something like the swing set and swimming pool he described assembling in his own backyard for his toddler. Her breath automatically drew in the crisp fragrance of his freshly laundered clothes every time he approached. She always thought to herself, what a lucky guy. His wife must take such good care of him. After all, she only knew her role should be a good wife and a loving mother. She was a good girl and a hard worker, though headstrong and argumentative at times, but she always wanted to feel loved and appreciated. She deserved to feel happy, just like his wife surely must be, maybe even taking all she had for granted. Many years had passed between their separate lives. She moved on and did return to her office job when her kids were all in school and more self sufficient. One day he happened to come across her picture on a social media website and said hello. Her heart did do a little somersault on hearing from him after all those years. However, it would be another 4 years before they would start chatting. She didn't trust herself to chat with him and not fall for him all over again until curiosity got the better of her. She agreed to visit him and his son he always spoke so lovingly of, his son who had autism. Her old crush was by then a single dad raising a son alone. He went nowhere except to work and hurriedly to the grocery shopping on his way home from work. Hardly the Casanova she remembered working with in the prime of her youth. Many years and conversations later, she would learn the truth about his reality. He used to launder his own clothes. His wife, unlike many new mothers, handed off the baby as soon as he walked through the door, coming home from work. To be fair, it sounded like a tough life for any parent, and the reason why it is often said most marriages don't survive autism. The swimming pool was a necessity to keep his son relaxed and calm. As with most people having autism, his son reveled in the sensory feel of being cradled by water. And the new car replaced the old one that had suddenly died. Once she met his boy, she saw the real person he was inside, how gentle, patient, and kind he was towards his son and everyone he met. She bravely told him one day, you know, I fell in love with your son long before I fell in love with you, to gauge his response. Did he even think of her the way he did when they were both younger versions of themselves? The flirtatious 22-year-old was long gone. He was respectful of giving her space to heal from a broken marriage that had failed miserably after 20 long years of trying. He saw that she had broken wings to heal and gave her all the time and space she needed. He let her come to him when she was ready. Not that he dared dream of a life of his own anyway. Today they laugh and joke about the warehouse days when they used to flirt with each other. Neither was aware of the release nor escape their interactions had provided way back then. She looks back with the wisdom now generously imparted with age. Did they crush on each other once? Yes. Were they in love back then? No. Would either have dreamt that they'd be together one day? Heck no. Did either of them think of the other at times over the years during those marital storms? Oh, yes. Now that they found each other again, did anyone expect it would last? What chance did their newfound love have with such overwhelming odds? But in spite of it all, they would make each other's lives easier. They would both provide for and improve each other's family in many ways. His heart was lighter. Her laugh was heartier. They found a home in each other. They grew stronger together. Were their present day lives the exciting ones they perhaps entertained in a daydream or two, fleetingly allowed to slip through their younger imaginations? Not by a long shot. Here they were, happy as two larks singing in a beautiful, deeply rooted tree. They were as grateful and content as they allowed themselves to be. The rosy glasses had come off at last. Thank you. Sorry, I know it was kind of long.
Once again, with that sorry, no sorries. That's
So-
beautiful. And it's a recital poetry, but short stories, to me, any words is welcome. So don't ever feel that you have to position a short
I
story.
have the
So
story, the picture to share with that goes with the story.
yeah.
Don't know if you can see it. Try to make it bigger. Oh, well, That's as big as I can make it, but there she is, 22 years old. There he is with his son.
Oh, beautiful. Once again, sharing of ourselves. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Give her a quick snap and we will continue on back across the ocean to Leslie.
Hi, everybody. Really enjoying this afternoon. So thank you, Ro.
Oh, you're welcome.
During lockdown and even before, myself and 3 other poets met and we brought work in progress and we critiqued it. And now we're going to be at the Paisley Book Festival reading our work from our new anthology. Yeah, ooh. And can I just say individually, well, I have to actually say the other 3 women are absolutely phenomenal. They're award-winning writers and just fantastic. So it's been a total joy. So I'm going to start with one. And this is actually because we were talking about Toronto right at the start. It's called New World. He lied. Every day living at the edge of this wilderness screams it. Every step dragging 3 wee bairns to the standpipe to get water, water that ran freely from the kitchen tap back home. Water she could be running her hand under if she hadn't fallen for his lies. Not just his, but her brothers, both reveling in their wee adventure, working down a uranium mine, laughing at the prospect of big money, more than they'd earned on the railway back home. Big money, big talk, men talking lies, leaking from that shed someone set up as a bar. That's what they call it, not a pub. Not even embarrassed at how their vowels oozed through their words, softened their R's. Wearing tartan shirts. She swipes her eyes with the corner of her apron, lifts the cloth from the bucket, wrings it out, throws it on the floor, the wood reluctant to give up muck, muck trailed in every time she or one of the bairns go out, like to get water, water to scrub the floor. She catches snot from her nose on the rib of her sleeve, catches it before it reaches the floor. Never would she have believed she could cry for 3 months. What did he expect? Living in a hut with no heating, no running water, with 3 bairns. 4 if she was right, and another on the way. He promised a house, a new life, a better life, couldn't even meet her and the bairns at the right airport, changing a toddler on the floor, waiting, wondering why he wasn't there to meet them, taking a whole day to drive from Ottawa to Toronto, her with no dollars to buy food. The long drive north, him not understanding her disappointment as they drove through the little town he said was now home, bumping off the road onto a track that led to this hut. She refused to call it her cabin, no bigger than the Anderson shelter her mum and dad built in their back garden. She moves her knees out of the grooves in the floor. How long did he expect them to live here? Surviving on a pittance? They'd never have enough money to move into a proper house. Him not handing over his wages. Going to that shed and drinking most of it. Never did that back home. She always got an unopened wage packet back home. Took pride in that, he did. He shouldn't have come here on his own. Most of the men unmarried, living a wild life, an unmarried life, drinking, and worse. She'd heard the stories, she'd seen the woman, scarlet-lipped, corset-nipped woman, but he insisted, begged, wanted her and the bairns to join her. He lied. This wasn't any way to survive. She gave up everything, everything they'd worked for. She pushes the apron into her mouth. Can't wake the bairns. He'll be back soon enough. When we were chatting about our work, we realized that what we were doing during the pandemic was using as a reference point females in our families to survive, those that had survived war, famine, other pandemics. And this is where the anthology actually came out of. And at some point, my mother, who is a force of nature, asked me to go to the local graveyard with her, as she does. My mum likes her graveyard. And this is what happened. So this is called Mearnskirk. A robin paces my steps, faithful as a collie, watchful as a wifey with a stranger in the house. My mother's conversation sifts through Rowan, arrives on a breeze cooled by sea fret. I glimpse her arranging flowers. Some bonny roses for you, mammy. She walks in the past, doesn't hear my footsteps crunching gravel, disturbing the peace. Hearing aid removed to hear their voices better. I put down the vase, once kept in their display cabinet. Water slithers its escape. Caught in the crystal spider-eyed refraction, I am autumn. I hand her sweet peas gathered that morning in my garden. Their scent drenches the air. She smiles at the bairn, scatters them as a priest's blessing over loose stones, raised in defiance against those who left an unmarked grave, her sister's child. My father cried on the kitchen floor, couldn't get the soot sweet out. I lift a cloth, scrub moss, time from stone, stand on settled earth, my father's grave, a hollow to gather leaves, keep a fox warm, over a space reserved for me. Content all is clean, each gravestone an altar filled with flowers. She sits on a bench, pours tea from a flask, picks up her conversation. The next one I'm going to do is actually during lockdown. I live in a really small council area, and in Scotland you aren't allowed to go across boundaries. So I have a large garden, and it became really important to me just really to deal with everything. And at the same time, our Scottish Poet Laureate, Kathleen Jamie, tweeted about how she'd been crying from loneliness. And I decided I needed to get out. I needed to force myself to go to places. And I went to a little local shop where the shop owner was also very anxious about having anybody in there. And I just felt like life was on repeat as well. So this is called Kathleen Jamie Tweets About Weeping. And there's also a film poem that goes with this, and it's been accepted into quite a prestigious archive, the Elphinstone Archive, that archived the whole lockdown experience in Scotland. Kathleen Jamie Tweets About Weeping. Debris from a night's carousing lies in my kitchen. I suspect my son invited the fairies, a few trolls. Chocolate is missing. A fridge empty of breakfast. A daily occurrence which no amount of mindful staring at birds in the garden cures. Kathleen Jamie advocates walking for missing the company of people. I miss the soothing company of blackbird, missel thrush, chaffinch feeding on windfall apples. They left. Now sit on newly forged nests with brooding mates. How many miles does missing a robin equal? Can I pace the anger of life on repeat? Yesterday, in a local shop, I shouted, "Where do you want me to place the milk?" to a man protecting his surfaces, begging me to buy more. I recognize another soul who could follow Kathleen's advice. Today, I saw a bullfinch. Difficult to confirm through weeping. I equate 10 miles. That time up, bro?
Yep. You're good. You're good. You know, that I loved all three, but that first piece reminded me of my mom.
Yeah.
Reminded me of my mom leaving Trinidad and leaving her three boys to go to America to open doors. Yeah. You're a powerful poet, Leslie. Thank you so much. I'll definitely look for you and your cohorts, those other women. I'm serious. I sat there listening to that piece and just had vivid imagery of my mom. And
that was my aunt.
Yeah, that was your aunt.
That was my aunt arriving, and although it said she cried for 3 months, she actually cried for 3 years.
Yeah, because when you said that in the poem, I could think of my mom doing the same thing. How do you leave your 3 babies to go open doors? Yeah, it was a powerful piece. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. The power of poetry, man. All right, let's continue on. Like I said, this isn't an open mic, but we had a couple of people drop out this morning because of life. So I invited Kate, who just came, to support us. But I figured that since she's here, she can read. So Kate, you can share a piece with us if you like. Yes.
Thank you, Ariel. This has been an honor to listen and now to have something to read. And I will bring myself back to my childhood. And then I'll grow up a little bit. I have a few 1-minute poems. The first poem, I will hold up this picture, and it's after Bob Coratore's photography from the 1960s. This is a true Chicago phenomena. This is Maxwell Street Sunday Gospel. The photo is from the 1960s. And I'll just put this up. This is where I would want to be. Oh, this way. Thank you. Blessing to all the people and place where I felt a welcome, the other side of the street, where my sad face was comforted with a smile, where the song of soul rose, where music was praise, where rhythm aligned movement, where expression of life's joy lived, where I was not to go, to that place of inclusion, where my eyes learned to spark, where my voice learned to speak, where all the hope is prepared for the next day. Anaphora by Kate Wegerson. Thank you. I'm blessed to have been raised by great grandmother, and mother, all civil rights activists, all teachers, all poets. And here today, I speak with you from a job. I'm a house sitter and a pet sitter. And I have a huge dining room table spread out of all of the things I've saved. And these are my poems of scraps of paper I've saved, and I'm now turning them into poetry. And thank goodness I saved them all. I didn't throw them away. So I stapled the scrap of paper that no one could probably read or understand. I staple it to the back of my new poem. Here's another one.
Good idea.
Peace into place. There beneath my feet is rich and dark soil. Many moons raised the old compost pile, digging deep to reap her moist, wormy worth, filling wheelbarrows, planting new beginnings. Their heritage long ago turned and toiled. A generation has left its earthly place, digging deep into the rank and file, those that goose-stepped unwittingly for a commandant. There beneath my feet, I have packed in boxes old musty children's books. They were meant for merriment and glee and sleep, yet swayed the learning lessons. Dodging banishment as an obedient child, I am now outspoken, reuniting in truth revealed. There survives a bond of grace between love and hope. May multitudes never cease to turn peace into place.
Beautiful. Thank
Time
you.
for another one?
Do a
Rahul?
quick one, yeah, sure. Yours are nice and short, so yeah.
Hi. This is in light of the continuum of greed for ownership of the land that has been in the hands and the feet of people all over this beautiful earth. We are safe, refugees from oil refineries. There is a field with a flat, soft place for my family to rest. The pain of hunger and fear, mother demands our silence. No one comes to command our exit. We are safe for this moment. There is artillery in the distance. We huddle in a ravine. No one comes to command our arrest. We are safe for this moment. Onward before daylight. Silence. The sun rises early to warm us in the cold morning dew. The lay of the land offers fish to spear in the stream. The blossoms of spring have long fallen. The fruit of the trees gives us the nourishment we need. Endless walking, I carry my sister. There is a narrow path to escape the brutality. No one comes to command our death. We are safe for this moment. There is no longer our village, nor any life we have known. No one comes to command us to camps. Huddled in the cold morning dew again, we are safe for the moment the sun rises. Songs of the birds migrating to the north. The hot desert trek exposes our starvation. Mother assures us, a country holds space for us. The call of splendor is on my mother's breath. All of the church choirs sing with exaltation, divine prayers bestowed to all who suffer. Hope for the goodness that will grace us with salvation. Far from their church pew, we take flight into the morning dew. Thank you.
Oh, wow. I felt like I'm sitting in a camp. We're about to go tackle some sort of, not a war, but like climate. We're just about to tackle something and you're reading that to inspire us. And that's what it felt like. That was so inspiring and so moving. Thank you so much for joining us, Kate. Thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me butt in.
Well, you know, there's always room for one more poet in the sinky boat, so. All right, there's two left. There's two left. And I love your love practice, guys. You're loving just as strongly at the beginning as you are now. So keep it up. All right, I'm gonna end with we're gonna end with a woman. So Angie, you're gonna be last. So this means Daniel, you get to go next.
Hello, everyone.
And I see Blue. Oh.
Yeah. Oh no, so I've renamed him Sinner. So sorry I've been quiet. Usually like the last one I usually would comment on everything. But I sadly I had to put down my best friend, my dog, 2 weeks ago. And sadly I had to do it because she snapped and went and attacked my mum's dog. And she wouldn't let go of my mum's dog for over 8 minutes. So it was pretty bad. And like, I'm not gonna lie, it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever faced in my life, even though like everything I've said before. But at the end of the day, she was through most of that and she was always by my side and I had to take her out. So it's pretty fucked up. Like, but even as I said to my mum, like, it was just something that had to be done. And mum even said like you had to do it. But then I got this little guy here now. So his name's Sinner. So I got him straight away because obviously I don't want to be by myself because you can't be alone. It's not right. And a little bit about my story. So I was overweight when I was younger. I was 146 kilos and I lost 66 through boxing. And I only look like this because the people that killed my brother, I knew who they were and I just wanted to put fear in them, which has kind of backfired on me with how Jemima was saying with how blokes can intimidate females. Like, women I respect the most. My mum's my best friend. But because I look like a dirty criminal when you look at me, well, people here in Australia, so you're subject to that for having tattoos on your fingers and stuff like that. But like, I'll keep that in mind all the time, and like crossing the road and stuff like that. That should become second nature to someone that looks intimidating, because you should always have that in the forefront of your mind of how you perceive others. But so I wanted to read. So this one's probably going to be a mess. So it's a poem I wrote for Charlie, my dog. Dear my little princess, my little muffin. Oh, Charlie, Charlie, Charlie Brown. Do you hear me? Do you hear my sound? My little princess with your shiny crown. Always a grin, never to frown. Why did Charlie get gnarly? Lost the plot. Oh, Charlie, Charlie Brown. I'm sorry for he protected his mum. Why didn't you hear me? Why didn't you listen to me? I hate myself, but we would have lost more, but you're my core. Life without you is a chore. How I miss the touch of your paw. My poor Charlie, Charlie Brown. Always do I love you, always do I hear your sound. My little princess, my little boxing machine. You made life supreme. How much I wish you listened to me, Charlie Brown. My special little angel. Now you're with my best. I'll miss you just as much as I do the rest. How we used to sleep so tight, close to each other. How close you get, I'd call you a clinger, or you try to smother. Oh, Charlie, Charlie Brown, I can hear you, I can hear your sound. My little princess, you forever wear your crown. Always smiling, you never had a frown. Our love will never get lost in my heart, it will always be found. Charlie, remember when you jumped out, you tried to chase me, and you ended up in the pound. I always remember your smile, I always remember your face. The love we shared, something from above, that special faith. Oh, Charlie, Charlie Brown, I can hear you, I can hear your sound. My little princess, in my heart you'll always be found. May you rest in peace, my beautiful muffin. Fuck hell, life is the biggest mystery, proven to be nothing but the hardest misery. But I promise you, princess, I'll win. I'll rewrite history. I love you. Please be looking down with that grin. Like, as we said when I said goodbye, I told you, I love you, Charlie. I love you, Charlie. I love you, Charlie. Fucking love you, Charlie. P.S. Never would I ever forget your soul and how I loved your double chin. That's that one. And in between the last poetry and this one, so I wrote a book in between. So I've done 19 chapters, 12,000 words, and I've completed it fully. So what I read at the last one is the blurb and sort of like the bio. So I'll read that again, but no, it hasn't got the end part with my father. So the blurb: writing is fighting, poetry lifting depression, shifting anxiety confession. Building society session. Hatred, a pollution. Project youth solution. World's contribution, happiness is to be the only execution. Well, hello everyone. I guess this time I'll do it right, just to show you all, how good I can actually write. I could, you should. So I guess we'll start from my childhood, putting my dad for the second time into fatherhood. I was overweight, something you'd never believe. That's why I got a heart of gold. One you'd want to mold, Sally Fry. The world has been nothing but cold. You'd be amazed. I've stayed strong, no one to hold. Can't lose and I won't refuse. My soul feels sold. I lost 66 kegs through the martial arts, but the one where you use your fists, not your legs, because that's always going to make them beg. Then the biggest mystery, now 5 years into history, my only brother missing to be murdered. Not joking, some said he got choked, but the two accountable for the affair toked. I couldn't bear to think, gone in one blink. Just like that, snap, how this was the start of life to being unfair. I stopped boxing. I was only 26. I got caught back up in that bad mix. I had to tell our lonely mother, we lost him. He was like no other. He took my only brother, your first loving son, who sadly never won. Oh, how it would feel to lose a firstborn, watching your heart break into a million pieces, and now I'll never have any nephews and nieces. He was missing for 6 months, and he was the Vic Barrel case. Now it's in your face, but remember, it's them who are to blame for this disgrace. But to move on, I really thought I was getting back on track. As a matter of fact, he'd say, similar to one of life's moments, that to be in your prime, or just how shit it would be to suck on a line, something come to dull my shine. My dad, someone so great, rushed to hospital, gone 16 days later. My fear to make it my hardest year, taken away on the 5-year anniversary of my brother, then to pass on the same day that I've walked as long as he did on this earth. Seeing photos of my father to prepare for his funeral ceremony, what a disaster. To hear how he was before his work injury, hurting his back, my bloody master. No joke, they all say I'm a spitting image of him. He made this possible in and out of hospital 2 weeks after I turned 6 months old. My dad didn't hold his son, me, from that point onwards in our lives. So I guess now you're all told. From then to now, 26 ops on his lower back, something we never held against each other. As our eyes always behold the unbidden truth. Might have felt afar, but our minds have always been on par. Yeah, we've missed out on heaps, but I've never seen him smile how he did, dated from photos September 1991. And this is to show how much of an actual inspiration this man should be to some. He never gave up, not once, none. But then you look at me, after everything I've ever faced. I've lost a lot, and this little 5-minute slot shows what I'm missing the most. Most about a family of my own, looking down at what my dad had sadly taken away from him. As you think that man has done great with how I'm perceived, with him to be my greatest mentor, imagine if he never hurt his back and was able to walk more than 20 steps or treks without pain or need to sit to lay down. And now these are all facts. You'd think I'd be off the rails, something out of this world due to misery. But as I write the finest bit of history, because it's going to be the biggest mystery, the way I would have explained it would have felt like Pictionary used with the dictionary. But like the best, don't stress being bored with missionary, because my vision, no one's got that. You haven't lived what I have. Not to say how much I wish I could have saved my brother Dave. But look what man my dad made. Someone so brave. Without him, I'd be cursing the sin. But he taught me how to get on top, take the first step in front to win. Because yeah, I might have teared up, but that's it. Now you can see I got that grin. Used to have like 6 chins. But now to share what Vibe Union made me achieve, coming to an open mic poetry event like I did. But the big factor, because later on it has its own chapter, it helped me be sitting there alone in a mess, not knowing how to get these words out of my head, out in the world, then I could stop feeling less. I've always had a different thought process, and hence why I always beat my depression instead of running amok to be frontline of the press like I should. And if you're there reading, going, yeah, I feel what he said, he did impress, and why don't you try for yourself? Everyone says, think about number one, yourself. My thumb shows I'm not dumb. I could be numb, but then I failed my mum. And looking at it, I still have all the reason to be getting revenge and ended up in the pen. But then I'd be a crumb losing. And then, like I said, you're on your own. So you could be losing. So why not choose to be choosing to snooze? Then what? That the life you live, so that don't let these words out of your head like a sieve. A week or so before writing this, before going on stage, for the first time I pondered like some just before bed counting sheep, mind going crazy, losing sleep. Just to stand up here to get it out of my head, thinking, do I even go? What if I get laughed at? What if something happens to me? What if something happens to my mum while I'm gone? because Papa Bear only just left his chair mid-November. It's something I'm always going to remember. It's a massive round of applause. All because I followed through with my goals, showing out for a dropout, I do write pretty neat. And I know from deep down in my heart, I'll never show defeat. Life's always a treat, and watch that, I'll turn it into an art. And that's being smart. And if I didn't go, who would have known about that city at the mark? Could have been all over Red Rover. I shove love because it's just like a magical white dove. Yeah, my smile might not be straight. Let's have a debate. Your soul is what makes beauty. Shining glow as words flow, rhyming with that bang on timing. I'm not lying, most days I'd be fucked sitting there to be crying. But you never catch me giving up. You're never going to catch me giving up dying. Life's what you make of it. Don't ever forget it. Your head's the credit. That mini John all along, and won't be long, there will be a song. Red Raw, something that you never saw, but I promise one day you'll all sing it out your jaw.
You know,
sorry, it's a bit long.
Once again, stop with the sorries.
Yeah, no sorries.
You know, I've been getting to know this young man, and yeah, he went silent because he had to put his dog down. But I told you this last time. Your brother, your dad, and now Charlie are very proud of you.
I've got something to say real quick, if I can.
Oh,
just
please do, please do.
First of all, that was incredible. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. So powerful. And I just wanted to respond to what you'd said previously to the poem about what I'd said about helping women to feel safe and acknowledging that. First of all, thank you for acknowledging that. But second of all, you have to know that you look incredible, and that the way you look has absolutely nothing to do with it. It's only ever about the way people behave, and you're doing great. So thank you.
Thank you very much. That means a lot.
Thanks for saying that.
Can I just interject really quickly that you should check the comments, because you're the only one who got everybody talking.
Yeah, I was just gonna. Yeah,
great.
You
I
got
love
everyone.
the tattoos.
Yeah. I think I saw a couple of comments. Do you rap? You should rap. Just
finally getting there.
Yeah, just read them, Daniel. You're, like I said
will.
before, and I'll say it again. Your dad, your brother, and Charlie are proud of you, and I'm getting to know you now, and I think you're a brilliant young man. I love watching people share their vulnerability, particularly young men. You give me hope for men that we can be still strong, masculine, but also kind and gentle and vulnerable.
Can I just quickly say one thing too? I remember when I was the first time emotional in front of my tough mates, and they were like looking at me like all weird and stuff, and I was like, "Do you want me to show you I'm still tough? Like, I'll get the punching bag, I'll punch the punching bag or something." Like, but yeah, it's like it's men are very scared to cry, and show it, but you got to let it out.
Well, we weren't encouraged, but where we are now, you're seeing a change. So anyway, thank you for being you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. This woman too has an amazing story through her poetry. And there's always someone that has to go last, but I'm glad it's you, Angie, because I love how you pour yourself into your words. And yeah, I'll let your words do the speaking. Put your hand, snap it up for Angie, guys.
Hi, good morning.
Hello, Angie.
Angie.
Can you all hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi. Okay. Thanks, everyone. This is the best way to spend my Sunday morning. I really enjoy everybody's voice, very inspirational. Okay, so these 3 poems are basically poems from my inner voice. So I'm going to start the first one. It's about finding your voice. Finding your voice. Silence. Inaudible deafness. Sound of nothingness. Realization of I am. Stirring. Becoming aware of self. Vibration. Through the observation of self, initial movement begins. Swaying, swirling movement, needing direction, finding its purpose. Waves forming two opposite directions of movement. Rhythm counts the steps in movement. Accumulating in the rhythm of waves. Waves stimulated in deflecting of light within the rhythm. Shifting of light, frequency, due to friction of movement, generating sound in the shaping, visualizing, of sound words appear as pictures in the mind. Constant flow of words is halted by different intake of messages. Investigating, inspecting messages, formulate a reflection of inner sound. Somatics brings out our expression of sound, felicitating this need for two-way feedback through communication. Expressing our thoughts ensures finding your voice. The end. That's the first one. Okay. The second one is called the winds of change. The winds of change. Do you feel it? Sailing, traveling, unveiling, raveling the ends of the space as we know it, surveying the plane, making loops in this tapestry of existence, capsules where time is suspended, life revolving continuously, recycling, never expanding. Breathe deeply these winds, for the messages are in every breath. The spirit of time is awakened. Listen to its ramblings. Become one with its language, the primordial language, the language of vibration. Hear its rhythm, become one in its movements, the dance of life, one intake, destruction, one outtake, creation. The magic is where the breath is held, where life is lived in a dreamlike state. As with creation, destruction begins, the winds are stirring. Thank you. I have one more.
I love that line, Angie. The magic is where the breath is held. Oh,
Yes, it is. Because that is where the spirit comes in and makes life live.
beautiful, beautiful.
So the last one, impossibility. Impossibility. What was then isn't now. Stuck in others' vision, what they remember. Illusions, varying scenarios, memory bounded, wheels recycled, spinning, gripping to life. It's never over. Visions of new possibilities, feet chained to the past. Duty generated as a curse. Blessings of God, they say. Have faith, hold on. Impossibility reigns. Two versions, none appeals. The chain tightens. The end. Thank you.
Oh. Thank you so much, Ange. Yeah, I just love listening to your words, your phrasing. I just hear life, like I do in everyone, but yeah. So, you know, I need to develop a book of comments for just poets because I don't know what to say because you just enjoy everyone. As sometimes you feel like you're being repetitive, and I guess you are, but you're all just brilliant. And like Angie said, what a way to spend a Sunday morning. You know, what a way to spend a Sunday morning. So I'm gonna recite one real quick. I really don't usually recite, but I'm gonna do two things. So when I believe it was when Kate was reciting. Anyway, this came to me. Here's a thought that I'm going to go work on. We are the therapist, minister, priest, the counselor, the advisor, the coach, the guide. Our hearts and ears, yours to open your eyes. Share your pain, your love, your sorrow, your laughter, your words. No invoice or hourly rate, for we are the tonic. Our hearts and ears, yours to open your door. We are the poets of your poetic roar. So I just wrote that thought down because when, I don't know, when you were reciting, Kate, it just sparked that. And I'm gonna go play with that now and turn it into something. I'm gonna end the show with this piece that I've been working on. I'm not sure if it's finished, but in honor it's Sunday, I'll share this, and it's called In God's Grace. I hold my hands up to touch the heavens. With pen in hand, I surrender to the moment and the joy in my laughter. As I attempt to capture the muse's rumblings from the unknown, and just maybe make sense of this calling of the joker's wild in my mind. I've looked past the fear of Medusa to see the gatekeeper's wisdom, a tethered pentacle that grounds me over my bridge of troubled waters. I inspire the air that fills my lungs and the earth underfoot with gratitude, standing aligned under the stars at the crossroad, pondering my next step. Conformity and complexity of expectation challenge my new understanding. For the perception's comfort is disguised as old ways of permanence. The illusion plays out like the many roadblocks encountered on the road before, as a reminder that the dark clouds never appear without their silver lining. Accepting I will not know what lies beyond my reach, I'm at the point of no return on the winding road to the unknown. My soul's contract reveals the karma of which is still to be learnt. And in this madness, an invitation of comfort lingers in the wandering. So onward, forward I press with my hands up to touch the heavens. The road may look the same and the fear oddly still sounds the same. And there's still a bit of doubt, but I have faith in yours grace and silence. All I can do is place one foot in front of the other and do what is true for me. It matters not if I'm ready, for there's no return to the wound of the unknown. I'm in the light of transformation, accepting that which yields my new skin. So I march onward. I travel in spite of the many temptations, as I am grounded and full of gratitude, hand in hand with poetry to power my sails. So I just thought I'd share that. It's not done, thank you, but I just felt the need to share it. I am continually blessed and honored and grateful that you would be willing to sacrifice a big chunk of your day to come and spend time and share your words and your poetry. I invite poets to speak their truths, to keep writing. We are living in what seems like unprecedented times, but our ancestors have gone through. We've done this before. We haven't, but our humanity have. We're not going to hell in a handbasket, we're transforming. And every time we enter these stages of discomfort, it's because we're getting ready for a big transformative change. What's coming, I don't know. Don't know, don't care. All I know is I have history on my side and we're not going anywhere anytime soon and the planet is not blowing up. Doesn't mean we don't need to be more cognitive of how we take care of her. The resources are here for us to use, but how we've been using it, we need to reevaluate how we use it, how we take it from her, and how we share it with each other. And that's what I see going on. It's disguised under racism and gender and all these things. It's really about we're redefining our humanity, what it means to be human. This life is not free, but it's also only hard because we choose to make it hard. And I keep saying I have history on my side because I look at history. And here we are at 2022, we're still in a pandemic. It feels like the world is going crazy and we're all caught up in racism and gender and all these other things. And yet our humanity keeps moving forward. So we will continue to move forward throughout the harshness, throughout the good, throughout the beauty, throughout the ugly. That's what makes us human. And we're transforming. And I think we're looking for ways to say, maybe we've learned from the past, so we don't have to keep repeating certain things in the future. All I know is, here I am, Sunday morning, still morning for me, in Toronto, and I'm looking at a screen of fellow human beings who happen to be white and black and brown, mocha, whatever you want to call it. This does not define my humanity. This defines my humanity. And I use this to share my humanity. So I thank you all for your love, holding space, your vulnerability, your courage to share your truth. We'll do this again next month. Hopefully many of you would like to come back. I try to keep these shows short, but you know what? I'm gonna stop trying that because however long it goes is however long it goes. There was a time when we would sit down and spend hours in debate and conversation. And I think we need to remember those times and bring some of that back, because as much as technology is great, there is still the best technology is heart to heart. And standing in close proximity and smelling our coffee breath in conversation and in love and embracing each other and remembering why God put us here is because we're human and we're representative of God. And our gift to God is how we use the gifts that God blessed us with. That's the only payment God wants. It's for how we use our gifts. So I thank you all.
Thanks, Raul.
Thank you, Raul. Thank you,
Coming
poet.
to church.
Snap it up for our feature. Right. It's Hughes from London.
Thank you, Jamie.
Maybe this year you'll change the runner-up UK Slam to the UK Slam winner if you're going to compete.
Who knows?
Jemima, you're just amazing. You know, you're a brilliant young woman, and you're powerful. You're a force of nature. And look around. Look at the screen. Look at the other women that you're accompanied with. That Danielle and I and Julian we get to hang out with. But yes, but us men as well. Because I love what she said to you. Your presence is not what scares. It's our actions that scares people. And I think you have a beautiful presence. I think you're a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful young man. So I love you all. I'm honored. I just feel blessed to be able to share Sunday mornings, this Sunday morning with you. So
Thank you for letting me share this with you guys.
yeah, thank you. Stay tuned. I'm going to reach out to each and every one of you as we continue on. The next show is going to be, I think, March 20th. I've got another brilliant poet out of New Jersey that we're going to feature. There's some of you I'm going to touch to feature. I didn't plan on doing these shows on a regular basis, but so anyway, what do you guys have planned for Sunday before we leave? What are you guys going to do?
It's Monday.
It's Monday for you, that's right.
It's
I'm gonna paint and go to the gym.
You're gonna paint, go to the gym? My sister just came down and asked me if I could help make dinner. So I'm making... Sorry, what was that?
I'm gonna listen to Cultivating Voices.
I'm gonna jump on that show.
I'm going to jump on later.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
See you then.
That's on at 3, right, Leslie?
Cultivating Voices.
For you, it'll be 3 o'clock.
Oh,
for
3
us, it's much later.
Yeah,
Eight o'clock.
Yeah, something around about 8. Yeah.
I'll be there later on though. So anyway, guys, whatever you choose to do it safely. Remember you are loved, and remember the power of poetry.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ross.
Everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So beautiful to spend this time with you.
It was blessed to spend the afternoon with you.
Everyone be blessed.
Be blessed.
Have a good day.
Bye till next time.
Till next time.
Everybody.
Hi, this was so much fun.
Bye.
See you, Daniel. See you.
Hi, Amelia.
See you, Val. Nice to meet you. Yay. There's Angie and there's your daughter.
Angie.
All right, guys. See you, Deal. See you, Ange.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.